attendance at this meeting tonight. May we all commit ourselves to you. We appreciate what you've granted us with time and opportunity to work together for this community and our fellow citizens. And Father, may everything we discuss be of reason and sense, and give us the wisdom necessary to make our time worthwhile, and as we meet together tonight, a success. Yes, we pray in Christ's name. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Buddy Holly.
Here.
Jim Johnson.
Here.
Kenny Reed. Sam Russell. Lonnie Wright.
I'd like to declare a quorum. Motion to approve the minutes of the January 21st, 2020 meeting. Motion by Councilman Wright.
Second.
Second by Councilman Johnson. Councilman Wright.
No.
Councilman Johnson.
No, sir.
Floor is open for discussion. Call the roll, please.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Jim Johnson.
Yes.
Kenny Reed.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. Motion to pay the salaries.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Meade.
Second.
Second by Councilman Holly. Councilman Meade.
No, sir.
Councilman Holly.
No, sir.
Floor is open for discussion. Call the roll, please.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Jim Johnson.
Yes.
Kenny Reed.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. Motion to pay the bills.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Wright.
I second.
Second by Councilman Johnson. Councilman Wright. Councilman Johnson.
No, sir.
Floor is open for discussion. Call the roll, please.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Jim Johnson.
Yes.
Kenny Reed.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. At this time, we'll hear from delegation. If you'd like to address this council, please stand, state your name, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. And if you would, please come to the podium.
Mr. Mayor, I'm Jim Munganast. I'm the state chairman for the Department of Defense Employer Supported Guard and Reserve Committee. It's a Department of Defense committee that was established back in 1972 when we started doing away with the draft and decided that we would do a lot of our military obligations through the Guard and Reserve. And today we have over 1 million Guard and Reserve folks nationwide, probably about 40,000 that are activated right now. And our job as the ESGR committee is to ensure that employers know their obligations under the reemployment rights law that applies to Guard and Reserve folks that are employed. But one of the good things we get to do is go out and say thank you to employers that are doing the right thing and really being supportive of the Guard and Reserve folks that work for them. And I'm honored to say that one of our own, an individual named Staff Sergeant Rachel Hayes, who works for the police department, put her boss, Chief Baron Tapp, in for an award. She's with the Civil Affairs and Psychological Operations Division within the Department of the Army, stationed at Fort Bragg. Those of you who have ever been there, it's near Fayetteville, North Carolina. We used to call it Vietnam when I was there. But in any event, she made this recommendation that Chief Tapp receive this award. So I'd like the Chief, if you wouldn't mind coming up. On behalf of the Department of Defense and all of us in the ESGR community in the state of Tennessee, we want to thank you so much for your support. Thank you. As you get the picture, you got to look at it.
No, just wait for TV.
Oh, okay. Let's turn it around here.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I also want to thank everyone here with the City Council, you, Mr. Mayor, all the councilmen, City Manager Helms as well, because I know it's just not what the Chief of Police does, but the entire support of the City Council and everyone involved with the city to help support those folks that are doing well by the Guard and Reserve. So thank you again. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Anyone else like to address council? We'll move into reports. Harriman, you took the board.
I'll start with the electric department. just mention real quickly, we've been paying attention to Bayou Steel since they shut down. That's our largest electric customer. So we understand that Liberty Steel Group has purchased them, and we're hopeful that the plant will return to normal operations, which we're kind of waiting to see right now. Mentioned the power outage that occurred on January 17th. This was a Friday. It started around the end of most people's workday. Just want to mention that there was like 3 outages in a 24-hour period, and that's really unusual and unfortunate. And they're all related to the same event happening. I probably do a terrible job explaining exactly what happened, but the initial outage occurred, and it was really difficult to diagnose. So they opened up a section of line to basically get as many customers back on as possible and more quickly, so they could continue to diagnose what exactly happened. Well, after they did that, something broke. And this was during the 5-minute outage we were supposed to have, so something broke during that, turned it into an hour outage, and then the third outage was basically to fix what broke during the second one. But anyway, I just want to say I appreciate the public's understanding and patience with that. That's not typical for HEB. I thought you all deserved an explanation for that. Our gas department is currently replacing gas main through town. There's a map on our website. For customers that are affected, if they have questions, please direct them back to HED. We'll get their questions answered. Generally, the biggest concerns you're going to hear is when's my yard going to be cleaned up and when's the road going to be repaired. And we definitely want to assure the public that the restoration will be as good or better than what it was before the project began. So we'll make sure we take care of that. On the water side, it's a little bit early, but I want to go ahead and mention that we're going to be replacing water meters this year. About 2,800 of our customers will be affected, so that's over half of our customers. This will start around April, and I hope to have a little bit more detail about who will be and who won't be affected. But typically, right in the city, the older part especially, we're going to save them for last, so they probably won't be in this first round because it usually takes a little bit more time. You never know what you're going to encounter. The sewer department, our biggest concern right now is Bullard Ford, and I appreciate city manager's time and Charlie Jones' time actually for working with us and Mr. Wright and Mayor Best for coordinating and having a meeting with me about that. But it looks like FEMA has scheduled some meetings. We'll attend those. I think you all were invited next week to kind of talk about the process moving forward. But we've got a couple of different ideas, and we're actively working on an application. Briefly mention that the water and sewer rate study has been completed, and we will have a response to the state by the end of the month to comply with all the deadlines that were in that first order from back in September. Any questions?
Do I have anything for Ms. Candace?
Thank you.
Ms. These was given to me by Candace. I think somebody had donated them, but I'm going to give them to Mr. Holly since he is part of the historical part to put in our showroom down there in the museum. And we appreciate you bringing those to us.
Absolutely. Those were donated by John King. He's an engineer that does consulting for us. His mother lived in Harriman, and so did he for a long time. Those were in her storage that he found after she passed away.
These are great.
Happy to donate those to the city.
Thank you for that, Candace.
Well,
Thank you. Yeah, I think on that outage, it was just a bad luck day, wasn't it?
it was a very bad day.
I know, but I think that third one hit me when I had my CPAP on to sleep. And I was about to suffocate.
Yeah.
It's about 11 o'clock here today. You sleeping on?
No, it was at night.
I bet
But that's okay.
Thank you, Mel. Public Works? Hang on before you get started. I messed up getting on them books. Now they're looking to see how many railroads are in it.
Listen, I know what I've been doing anyway. I know Mr. Holly does. So we cut 2 big trees, pine trees there on Smith Lane. Put you and showed you them. We've been putting up some poles and stop signs that's wore out. Cut 3 big trees down on Virginia Street. We got them, buddy.
Yeah, you did.
And My boys done a good job, they was real big trees. So we cut back some alleys, and we cut on the bank on Crescent, going up the hill off of Swanee, we cut that whole bank side off the right of way. And we've still been getting brush every day, and still getting some leaf pickup, done some patching down McDonald's, when you come out of it, done some out here on the highway, and plan on doing more of it when the weather breaks, it's a good hot maybe.
Anybody have anything, Mr. Lehman?
Thank you for what y'all do right here. I rode around with him today and he showed me everything they did, and they did a lot of work. They cleaned up a lot of stuff.
They've been busy.
Appreciate it, sir. Parks and Rec?
Okay, I want to thank Kevin Ayers and Scott Gwynn for being here tonight to support us on the board, Park and Rec board, a lot of things we got going on. But right now, I guess we're doing basketball. We've got a few weeks left in basketball. Had a great season so forward. Probably into, I think our last tournament's going to be at the end of this month, the 29th. So we're getting that going. Started the baseball signups last week, and we've already got over 70 kids signed up for baseball. And that'll be going through February the 22nd. And we'll be going in from there, choosing teams, and have our grand opening ceremony is going to be April the 4th. And we're going to do it all at the Flour Mill Flat Complex with baseball, softball, and weeball. We're going to do that again this year. There's a lot of people calling about that. So that kind of leads me into kind of one reason we're all here tonight. I mean, I've asked for support because we talked about the fields at the Flour Mill Flat Complex. So during the storm last year, we had I think we've actually applied for like a $30,000 FEMA grant or something to, help get our money back on, to help get the complex where it needs to be. And if anybody's played down there, I know that's just even talking to Kevin and Scott, how bad the field is, the outfield, how much work it needs to be done there. So with the $30,000, you see the blue line, where, get the riprap going down through there. And I actually talked to Matt Laddie, come over to see exactly what we need to do to get our fields back, because he's even said it's become a safety issue now from the outfield to infield. It's way high. The home plates are way high. We need a lot of work done there, and I know we've been talking about it, for a while. But I'd like to I want to come to get a price, see if I can get a bid on somebody coming in and fixing our 3 fields there at the at Flour Mill Flats. I think we're something that needs to be done. I think it's become a safety issue now with the drainage problem. We're spending so much money. We're spending $3,000 or $4,000 a year just on the quick dry to try the water up. We're playing on it. We've got softball, we've got baseball. We even got the high school softball and the middle school softball teams coming there playing. So we're, Jake and the guys are doing their best. I mean, working really hard to keeping the fields up, and probably the best they can. But I think now is the time we really need to look at the field and see if it's time to get something done about it. And this, from what we're looking at here, and the price we probably got, an estimate. I like to get more bids, but come back through here just for this, doing all the work around in here is probably about $30,000. This is what we've asked FEMA for, $30,000. Hopefully we can get up to $30,000 if we go through. I know Mr. Helms has been working on this back and forth with them, and Kenny with some other stuff. They keep asking for things there, but working on this to get our $30,000. It'll probably be feature $60,000 to get the complex where it needs to be. And but I would like to ask the council if we can maybe just take bids to find out exactly what it would be to fix them the way they need to be.
I'd like to make a motion that
Let's,
if we can allow him to do some bids on that, because it's really a time crunch to get that done, if we can do it.
let's if you don't mind, let's wait till the end, and if you want to waive the agenda rule, and it seems like we waived a lot, but if y'all want to waive to give him permission to get bids, you're not approving to spend any money, you're just, that way if they do get the FEMA money, they're ready to go. But we'll do that at the end if y'all want to waive the agenda rule.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah. I think just one other thing, Natasha's really been working you know, at the community center. A lot of things still going on. Her biggest thing she's doing this year is going to be the Galentine's Day event on February the 11th. That's next Tuesday at the community center. She's partnered with Paint and Party Plus to have like from, I think, 4 to 11, having ladies and stuff come in. It's like $5. They'll do a painting and stuff too, but, you know, just like to get that out there. Any questions?
Anybody have anything?
You're doing a good job, Charlie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Library.
I wanted to let everybody know that the computers are set up with voter registration on them, so people can come and register to vote at the library real easy. It's just right there on the computer on the icon, all they do is click on it. And the Census Bureau's been setting up at the library, letting people know that there is jobs available to, with the Census Bureau to take census this summer, this spring and summer. And the library is also equipped for people to come in and fill it out on the computer also. We did receive the tech grant, and we have not received them yet, but we have purchased 2 laptops and 2 new desktops with monitors. And these, of course, then everything in the library will be updated so that it's all as advanced as it can be for what we have. And we have new books on order, and new books has already come in. The children's programs are going really well. With the homeschool program, did blessing bags. Actually, they've done 53 blessing bags for the homeless. Miss Yvonne Yates, she's been working with getting all the different areas, if someone needs help, in a database so that they can find where they can go to get help. And anyway, we made 53. I made 53 blessing bags that had toothbrushes and toothpaste in it, and scarves, and just essential things that someone might need. But the preschool program, the 2 of them is growing strong, and so is their homeschool program. And of course, we'll be having Valentine parties next week. And the top grant I have not heard back from, but hopefully I will be able to offer computer classes again soon, along with coding. And of course, I do need library board members, which I think you all already have that information.
How many members are you short?
How many members do we have on the board now?
How many are you short?
Short, we're actually short 2. This will take care of one, I'm going to be down to 1. I had 2 to resign in the fall.
Any questions for the library?
Thank you.
Kurt?
Just a few things. Our tax collection at this point is 56%. That's 1% more than this time last year, so we're pretty well on track there. I finished reviewing our financial report and made some changes and got it back to the auditor. Looks like it's pretty good shape and will be published pretty soon. Excuse me. Some of the highlights I'd like to go over with you. During the 2019 year period, the assets of the city, including HUB, exceeded its liabilities by $66 million, and that was an increase of $469,000. The city's governmental activities in that position increased by $977,000, but the HUB's net position decreased $508,000. So at the close of the current fiscal year, the city governmental funds combined ending fund balances was $3,156,096, and basically the fund balance grew slightly by about $206,000 over 2018, but the unassigned fund balance for the general fund was $1.9 million. So when you get the report, there's some good sections in there that define the retirement program. I went through all of it, and it's well laid out this time. And so those of you who are confused by the retirement program and all the aspects of it, this lays it out very well. And so I advise you to read it. It's in the notes to the financial report. So that's all I have.
Do I have anything for Dr. Curley? Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
City Attorney.
I'm still working on property maintenance cases. I have several more to file. Code enforcement has really been helpful in trying to locate people. Part of the issue in these is I can't move forward in court until I get them served, because sometimes the tenant and the owner are different people. So one of our more difficult properties in particular, we just found out the owner has passed away, but we're in contact with a relative who seems to be willing to work with us, so we can move forward with that. I also have the city annexation property tax case with Gerald Largen this month. Our trial date is set February 20th at 9 a.m. in the Chancery Court. I also received a phone call today from the Chancellor's office. Mr. Largen has scheduled a motion to be heard February 11th at 9 a.m. I don't have a copy of that motion in hand, so I can't specifically tell you what he's asking the court for that day, but I'll be in court February 11th, and then the trial, depending what happens on the 11th, is February 20th. And I'm working on retaining a court reporter to be present on the 20th so we can have a verbatim transcript of what happens that day.
Okay. Is that usually how it happens? The Chancery calls and says somebody wants to, and we just all of a sudden have to pop up and be there?
For a motion, he's supposed to give me 5 days notice, and he was calling the Chancellor's office to see if there was an available motion day before the 20th, and was asking if I was available on the first day he offered. I can't go because I have court elsewhere. And then they said, what about February 11th? So he should get it in the mail. I mean, that's still going to be short notice mailing it to me, but
Okay.
we'll see.
Anybody have anything for the City Attorney? Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Helms.
Wanted to update you on a few of the projects. With the Margrave Drive project, we have received our permit from TDEC as well as from the Corps of Engineers that we needed to move forward with that project. The engineers are currently working with various utilities to incorporate their comments into the plans so that they can submit them back to TDOT for review and hopefully get approval from TDOT for us to start the bidding on the project in March. With regard to the rural development funding program for the building purchase and demolition, all the information has been submitted to the USDA that was initially requested. Because the budget did increase a little bit from what we originally submitted due to the inclusion of the demolition in the project, they did request a little bit of additional financial information. So we've been working, putting that together, and should be able to give all of that to them by the end of this week. And then at that point, it will be submitted from the East Tennessee region to the Nashville region, where the funding decision is made with regard to the project. On the LPRF project, all the information has been submitted to TDEC for review with regard to the splash pad, the site plan for the property that includes the parking, lighting, the various amenities that would be on site. They've had that information for about a week now. They're reviewing it, and as soon as they respond back to us, hopefully with an approval, then we'll be able to place the order for the equipment as well as start finalizing the site plan, which is needed to go out for bid on the project. And spoke with someone late last week from TDOT with regard to the interstate lighting project. We were discussing a few final details with regard to the budget and funding mechanism for that project, and I would anticipate us receiving the contract next week, so that we would have that available for you to approve and have the mayor sign at our next council meeting. And that's all I've got. I'd be glad to take questions.
Questions for Mr. Helms? What's the, I know that we all had an email that said that the building was prolonged till the end of January. That Covenant had given us till the end of January, but we're in February, and I don't think we've heard anything. Where are we at on that?
I spoke with Mr. Birmingham with Covenant today. He had been out of town and was going to call me when he got back in town. He intended to do so last week and just got behind trying to catch up on things. But we talked today. I updated him with regard to where we were, and he plans to call me again in 10 days unless I hear something prior to that, at which point I'll be calling him to let him know.
What are we waiting to hear? I guess where I'm confused, we've been dealing with this for 6 months. I can buy a house quicker than we bought a building. I don't know what we're holding up on.
We're just waiting on USDA to grant the approval to.
Does it take USDA 6 months to give us approval? I mean, if it does, we need to find a new lending agency.
Their process that we've been going through.
Do you have anything, Chief Major? Thanks, sir.
I will note that we have already submitted a request to purchase the building prior to the closing of documents, which would expedite the purchase, which is allowable, so that we would actually purchase the building out of fund balance, and then once the project is funded by USDA, we would be able to reimburse ourselves out of the funding. So we've already submitted that request so that it went in with the application to expedite it.
New business. Discuss and possibly approve appointment to the Walden Ridge Zoning Overlay Design Review Committee. I'd like to recommend Laura Dishman. She lives at 413 Warrior Lane in West Hills to serve on that committee.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Wright.
I'll second it.
Second by Councilman Johnson. Councilman Wright.
Nothing.
Councilman Johnson.
No, sir.
Floor is open for discussion. Call the roll, please.
Buddy Holly?
Yes.
Jim Johnson?
Yes.
Kenny Me?
Yes.
Lonnie Wright?
Yes.
Motion carries. We're going to skip the other two, go down to item D, discuss and possibly approve purchasing cardiac compression for fire department for the FEMA grant.
Mayor and council, what this is, due to the buy board that the city deals with, we don't have to bid the AEDs and the compression, cardiac compression. So what I'm asking for tonight is to approve to spend up to $32,152, and that'll be grant money. Then I'll be coming back at a later date and presenting the trailer part that we got. We're still working on that part. Kenny has put a lot of time into dealing with FEMA, trying to get everything situated, a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls and stuff, but they approved that, we can go ahead and purchase that, just have to present it to you all.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Wright to allow the fire department to spend $32,150 out of the FEMA grant to buy the cardiac compression.
I'll second it.
Second, Councilman Johnson. Councilman Wright.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about this.
The compression device is a device that will wrap around the individual that is in cardiac arrest, and it frees up a personnel to be doing something else, maybe be dealing with the family or whatever, and it does the chest compressions for us. And the outcome of the scene is a whole lot better than an individual doing chest compressions due to, after 15, 20 minutes of doing CPR waiting on an ambulance, I mean, you get tired. If you ain't enough people to rotate out, but that machine's gonna be doing it the whole time. And, it's gonna free personnel up, and that person's gonna have a better chance. The AEDs will help cover the other vehicles that we have that does not have AEDs. So, and hopefully, the prices that we have got, it might be going back and submitting some more paperwork to FEMA to get more equipment, that we can probably double our equipment, so.
Can you adjust the compression?
As far as that part, I do not know.
Oh, okay. I just thought, if it's a child or someone else, I'd say it's adjusted.
I would say it's got adjustments on it. I have not looked into that, as far as that deep into it, Lonnie, but
Let us know when you get it, so we can come look at it.
yeah, most certainly, I sure will.
Thank you.
We're excited to get it. And thank you, guys.
Councilman Johnson.
I think it'd be a great purchase. It could save a lot of lives. That's all I've got.
Floor is open for discussion. Is the funds already been put in from FEMA, or do we get reimbursed on that?
We don't have anything yet. They were talking about getting the funds before the spending. I hope that's true. I don't know. Can you answer that?
The way Kenny understood it was the grant, they will probably, he said it was a unique grant. They will probably be sending the money, as soon as we get this part done and tell them that we're gonna be purchasing, they'll send the money to the city, and we'll be able to purchase that way. It will not affect the city.
Any other questions? Call roll, please.
Buddy Holly?
Yes.
Tim Johnson?
Yes.
Kenny Me?
Yes.
Lonnie Wright?
Yes.
Motion carries. Would council like to waive the agenda rule to allow, to vote on whether to let the city take some bids to see what it would cost on the construction of the ball fields on the water park?
Yes.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Councilman Johnson makes a motion to waive the agenda rule. Second by Councilman Wright. Councilman Johnson, any discussion about
It's in bad shape.
it? Floor is open for discussion, just to waive the agenda rule.
And you're just getting the bid on the small field?
Small field,
Yeah. Or is what you're bidding
on,
on all
on the
three
Flower
of
Mill Flats, all three of those fields there.
them? It will, what you're thinking is 30,000 is all three fields? or
No,
just
I'm sorry,
blue?
30,000 is just what we're trying to get, just around there with the retention pond, riprap all around that there.
Okay.
Call the roll on waiving the agenda rule.
Buddy Holly?
Yes.
Tim Johnson?
Yes.
Kenny Me?
Yes.
Lonnie Wright?
Yes.
Motion carries. You all have heard Mr. Jones tell what he's wanting to waive the agenda rule for was to just get bids, not to spend any money, to see what the cost would be, so we'd have the money for FEMA when they're looking at it. I know they've been calling and asking a lot of questions, they've been wanting a lot of paperwork, so I know the city's been getting that to them. So looking for a motion to approve to let them take bids.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Wright. Councilman Johnson.
It's in real bad shape. It would really improve. And plus, he brought up the safety issue. I would rather go ahead and get that done and not have to worry about a kid getting hurt down there. That's all I've got.
Thanks, sir. Councilman Wright.
No.
Floor is open for discussion. Call roll, please.
Buddy Holly?
Yes.
Tim Johnson?
Yes.
Kenny Me?
Yes.
Lonnie Wright?
Yes.
Motion carries. Councilman comments, Councilman Johnson.
I have any, I don't have any.
Councilman Wright.
No, sir.
Councilman Holly.
No, sir.
Councilman Meade.
No, sir.
I don't have anything tonight. Appreciate everybody coming out. Enjoy the wet weather. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed, like sign?
Honorable Chairman Randy Ellis presiding. God bless these United States, the great state of Tennessee, and this honorable meeting. At this time, Commissioner David Bell will lead us in prayer. Afterwards, please remain standing for the pledge of the American flag.
All right, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much just for another day, Lord. I'm so grateful for the opportunity just to draw a breath this morning. And Lord, I ask that you forgive me personally for taking that for granted. As I see my two kids growing up faster than I want them to, I see my loved ones leaving me faster than I want them to. And Lord, I don't take enough time to think about how grateful I should be for the time that you gave us, Lord. Just thank you so much for this gathering tonight. Be with us. Give us a spot in our heart to do the next right thing. Not doing it out of pride or doing it out of self-boasting, but doing it for the right thing and to do the right thing. Help us to examine these points that we're talking on. Be with the people here that are coming in here to be celebrated for their time. Lord, again, I have to say, most of all, thank you for your son, Jesus. Yes. If it wasn't for that, man, we would be a depressing world to live in. Lord, be with us. Thank you for everything. It's in your awesome son's name we ask these things. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. If you have a cell phone, please make sure you turn it down. Thank you.
At this time, if we go ahead and, in lieu of calling the roll, if you just log in on your roll call vote, it'll show present. And then everybody in the audience can direct their attention to one of the screens above me. It'll be showing how each commissioner votes. And it'll also, when it's time for public hearing, it'll show you how long that you have left to speak on a certain issue. And let it be noted that Commissioner Hickman will be absent tonight. Tonight's 8th grade night at the Harriman Middle School, and his son is an 8th grader at Harriman Middle School. Looks like a quorum being present, I declare the meeting in order. I got a motion to approve the minutes of the December 9th, 2019 meeting. Motion by Commissioner Gann, second by Commissioner Meadows. Commissioner Gann.
Nothing fun.
Commissioner Meadows.
Nothing bad.
Any other commissioners would like to, any comment on approval of minutes of the December 9th, 2019 meeting? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Minutes of the December 9th, 2019 meeting is approved. Moving forward, acceptance of committee reports and correspondence. Motion by Commissioner Meadows, second by Commissioner Berry. Commissioner Meadows.
Nothing to add.
Commissioner Berry.
Just real quick on report number 9. On that report, Mr. Woody from Oak Ridge, is our environmental review board, are they looking into all that stuff? Perhaps you can.
So this is a letter from the Tennessee Department of Environment Conservation to the Oak Ridge Office of Environmental Management. We probably get on a monthly basis about 30 of these. So I basically periodically send these to the correspondence to let you all know what the state's doing for us as they monitor and regulate at their level DOE activity, predominantly related to environmental management, environmental cleanup. So you can see on this one, kind of the reason I filed this one, you'll see that there's 22 areas, and they're just reviewing a report the Department of Energy had sent them and commenting. You know, the last number 22 is on page 55 of the report, and I do not have access to that report. It didn't come with this heading, but I was just letting you all know what TDEC does for us as they monitor. Periodically, I'll send one, and I'll send them to the Environmental Review Board, but I don't send all of them there.
So, but they're, I guess, my question is, they're looking out for us on all of these activities that are going on over there?
We hope so. We hope that TDEC does, our Environmental Review Board, and then our Oak Ridge Reservation Community Alliance Board also does. So there's 3 or 4 oversight agencies on some of this.
Thank you. On number 10, I know Senator Yeager, I think, addressed got a email from Commissioner Cunningham, I guess, who said that Mr. Yeager, Senator Yeager, had talked about that this morning. And I'm sure you agree, Mr. Woody, that had it not been for our committee, the silver carp or Asian carp probably in our area wouldn't be on the front list as it is now. So that committee, along with the Environmental Review Board, played a big part in getting this to the forefront, and it sounds as though it's even worse than we anticipated it is. So we just need to make sure they stay on the forefront of that. Appreciate what they're doing there. Number 11, on that FEMA report, are the projected costs on the 3 reports that or the 3 projects that have been approved, are they coming in where we expected them to? Are they?
Yeah, Amanda Daughtery's here. She, I think, or Tim, Amanda, can you come to the podium, please? We're glad you're here. Amanda's doing most of our reporting on FEMA, and we filed, Amanda, a number of these reports from FEMA that's telling us the status. And I guess the question was, our initial estimates, how close are they to being where we're at, where the project?
We're coming in pretty close. Some of the estimates are less on some of the projects that we're finding, and then we're finding that like the payroll and reimbursement, things of that nature, are actually a little bit more than what we had originally anticipated.
So FEMA's not cutting back on anything. We're about where we thought we would be in terms of FEMA. And I guess I'm going back to the money we borrowed. We're going to get about where we thought we would be.
Well, actually, the approval was $10 million, and it's on a drawdown basis, and we have drawn down 3, but we don't think we'll be close to 10 at all. We may be in the 6 to 7.
As of right now, with all of our anticipated projects, that's your 2 schools, your Park Bridge, and all of your highway stuff, as of right now, everything together, we're probably looking at less than 8, around 8.
And I think you mentioned down on Winton Chapel where the road caved in and stuff, you're working on getting that process
We are.
as well.
FEMA's working with Lynn Farnham as far as getting what they need on that. And as of today, we got 3 more projects approved, so we're at 7 projects right now officially approved out of 14.
Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
I want, right quick before you go, I want to thank you for your work on this, and you give a very detailed report the other night at the emergency management meeting, but thank you for all you're putting in. And a lot of times if somebody don't keep up with this, it could fall through the crack, but you give a very good detailed report the other night. Thank you.
Yes.
Is that all, Mr. Berry? Any more questions on the approval of committee reports and correspondence? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign. Committee reports and correspondence have been accepted. At this time, we'll move to notaries. Madam Clerk.
Curtis E. Bunch, James W. Gunter, William J. Igu, Kathy S. Jackson, Karen B. Jenkins, Deborah M. Pillar, Brenda L. Russell, Teresa Thomas, and Chris S. Barton.
I got a motion to elect by Commissioner Hendrickson, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Hendrickson.
Appreciate your willingness to serve.
Commissioner White.
Nothing to add.
Any other commissioners like to address the notaries that's before us? If not, we'll take a roll call vote on this since we are electing notaries. Does everyone in the audience can direct their attention toward the screen? A lot of times it'll show who's voted and who's not, and who's made the motion and who made the second, and the vote's recorded. And as it shows, there's 14 yes and 0 no. The notaries have been elected. Moving forward, we're going to the part of the agenda, hearing the delegations. This is the opportunity for the citizens of Roane County to address your elected officials on the county commission. We ask that you step forward to the podium and you'll state your name and address. And if you can see on our screens on either sides, the commission has adopted rules that we give the people from the audience a 3-minute time period to speak. We ask that you please try to adhere within those 3 minutes. We know sometimes it's hard and we've got some issues that you want to get more time across, and we have leeway with that, but we just want to let you know that this is your time to address the commission. Any other time from this point forward, a commissioner would have to yield your time to you. And I want to go ahead and introduce this speaker because she's special to all of us. This is a former commissioner, Ms. Kelly. We want to welcome you back.
Thank you. It's nice to be here and see you all. I'm Renee Kelly, and my address is 106 Oklahoma Avenue, and that's Oak Ridge. And I read in the Roane County News that there was going to be a resolution about disallowing refugees to come into our county. And I just wanted to point out some reasons why we should welcome the refugees. Because if you look at history, the people that have been refugees have ended up being productive members of our society, particularly if you look at the Vietnamese and the Cubans that have come as refugees. They make a bigger effort than the general immigrant to learn English skills. They also have a higher rate of employment, and of course they stay longer because they have no option to return to where they're from because they've been seeking asylum or just as refugees. These people are running from out of desperation more than anything else because they're not comfortable with ISIS, and it's a Muslim nation, an Islamic nation or country that they come from, and they may be Islamic, but they don't see the caliphate, I think is what it's called, as beneficial to them, but more of a threat. And the more that they're desperate, the more likely they are to become radicalized, and that would mean that they would turn into ISIS members. And I'd like to point out that there are a few refugees that have run from political issues and religious issues, such as Albert Einstein. He came here, and look what all he did. There's also different things that they've invented, different refugees. Steve Jobs' father was a Syrian refugee, and without Steve Jobs, there would be no Apple. There also a man that invented a key ingredient to birth control pills. He was a refugee. Sriracha was also brought to us by refugees, as well as the man that invented a way to make donuts quicker. So refugees are good things.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly, and it's always glad to have you back. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
My name is Jinx Watson, and I live at 1220 Dogwood Drive, Kingston.
And I'm here because I also read Friday's Roane County News about the Roane County and refugee situation. And I understand why some people might say we've got no room and no money, no time, no energy, no jobs, no interest in supporting newly arriving refugees. And we might be afraid of these strangers. And I think those thoughts come from earnest officials who believe they're protecting us as Roane County citizens. I also think that these people might be responding to the fear that's sort of been generated in our culture these days. I understand this, but I don't agree with it. First off, there's lots of different classifications. We've got immigrants, we've got refugees, we've got asylum seekers, and then we have undocumented people. Tonight we're just talking about the refugee group. The state of Tennessee has been accepting refugees for several years. Like in 2016, there were 2,000 of them that were in the state. In 2018, about 500 of them. In 2019, about 700. And these refugees are vetted by the United States government. They bear a very special status called refugee, and they are not illegal. They come from all over the world, like the Congo, Ukraine, Afghanistan, Latin America. They're forced to leave their homelands, their homes. They flee war, corrupt governments, religious and political persecution, violence, destruction. Governor Lee said some of the refugees he's met are the widows of translators we've been using over the last 18 years of war in the Middle East. Second, there are nonprofit organizations that work with these families and settle them into towns so they can become productive citizens and employees and residents. The goal is to welcome these people so they can become productive and get them as independent as soon as possible with employment, housing, and schooling. Most likely, our rural county will not be a place where refugees land, as the agency says they need public transportation to get to work. They do better where there are others from their culture to support each other, and they need a wide variety of job opportunities that a bigger city might offer. So in closing, I want to say that most of us grew up with American and Christian ideals of welcoming the stranger. I try to live my life with do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I believe in the parable of the fishes and loaves, and know Roane County can both take care of its citizens and welcome the stranger. And finally, when I talk to these folks and hear their stories, I say to myself, how could I be so lucky to live here? For there, by the grace of God, go I. Please do the right thing tonight and accept Governor Lee's plan to help in this effort.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello. I'm a little nervous. This is my first time being up in this situation. But I wanted to just very briefly give an example of what
Could you state your name and address, please? No problem.
I apologize. My name is Anna Matson-Cantrell, and I live on 122-3 Blossom Lane in Kingston. And I just want to sort of put a face to the American dream that I believe that people like refugees represent. Specifically, my great-grandmother was Italian. She lived in Italy during the rise of Mussolini. She and her husband left Italy in 1921 to come to the United States because they needed a safe place where they could prosper and grow a family. My grandfather was born an American citizen, and I'm very proud to be a descendant of immigrants like them. And I believe that everyone who is willing to go through that legal process of being a refugee, who is trying to escape a very scary, very difficult situation for themselves and their family members, deserve the right to do that. And I fully trust that the people of Roane County are the sort of patriotic, open, and brave Americans who would welcome refugees, much like Americans welcomed my great-grandparents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kendra. Anyone else like to address the commission? Go ahead, sir. State your name and address.
My name is Michael Howe. I reside at 456 Paint Rock Creek Road, Philadelphia, Tennessee, in Roane County. And I thank you for allowing us to talk tonight. Your desire to protect our community and be a good shepherd of our resources is appreciated and understandable, but your fear is unfounded. Studies have shown that immigrants commit much less crime than the host communities that they participate in. As the number of refugees seeking asylum in this United States increases, we have not only a moral obligation to treat them with respect, but also a constitutional duty. I will remind you, our Constitution states all people within the jurisdiction of the United States are guaranteed due process. And our higher courts have affirmed that this does in fact mean all people, and that includes immigrants seeking a better life and refugees seeking safe asylum. There is also, fortunately, an economic benefit to accepting these immigrants. We are an aging population. Our birth rates are declining. If we seek to achieve the GDP growth promised by our current administration, we will need an influx of foreign workers. Our farms, factories, restaurants, and resorts will benefit from access to this increased labor pool. So there's not only a moral, legal, and economic reasons to accept these refugees, but it is also a benefit to future generations. And I would ask each of you, take a look at the current list of Fortune 100 companies in our country today and see how many of them are founded or run by sons, daughters, grandsons, and granddaughters of refugees and immigrants. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. Sir, could you wait? That lady's got up 3 times. Could you let it go ahead so Tim don't have to get back up again?
I really want to talk to you guys. Hi, I'm Kay McGinnis. I live in Lenore City, Loudoun County, 109 Osprey Cove Court. And I was invited by Ben and Stacy today to come down and talk to you guys, just to let you know, to introduce myself first of all. I am the proud owner of the Delaney house that sits just right across town here. And what we are doing there, we've gone through a full renovation of the house. The house is over 200 years old. And we are opening that location up as an Airbnb for Kingston and Roane County citizens and hopefully travelers coming into town. I know a lot of you probably know the history of the house. It was built in 1810 to 1813 and built by a gentleman named, he was from the Revolutionary War, Gideon Morgan. So that will be the name of the Airbnb.
This is for everybody's, this is right here across from the old courthouse, right beside the First Baptist Church. So
Yes.
everybody's.
Yes. So we're very excited. I am a native of Kingston. I grew up here and my family has been local here for many years. And I'm just excited about coming back into town and in this beautiful house, and really would like to open up that you guys, we're going to have an open house, a home tour on Thursday, this next Thursday from 5:30 to 8:30, and we would love for you guys to come and see what we've done with the house and tell your family and friends about it. So we look forward to that.
Is there any way you could email somebody that information about the open house?
Yes.
Get it to Ben?
Yeah.
That way we get it out to
It
everybody?
will be in the Roane County News
Okay.
on Friday, and also there'll be a big banner placed on the house tomorrow so that everybody will know that. So we really look forward to having everybody come in and take a look at what we've done. And we're just excited about the house having some longevity and for people to get to come in and see this place and how beautiful it is. It is a solid structure. It'll be here 200 years from now. And it's just beautiful. So we're very excited.
Thank you, Ms. McGinnis. Yeah, sir, go right ahead.
My name is Kirk Steele. My wife and I live at 402 Indigo Bunting in Harriman. We've lived here for 15 years, and I just wanted to speak again to someone that's already spoken about the refugee resettlement resolution, and just reiterate how much I appreciate what has been said, because I agree with it wholeheartedly. And we just want to emphasize that I believe that lots of times our fear of refugees is totally unfounded. And I was looking at some statistics from the Department of Homeland Security about who these refugees are that have been coming into our country just in the last 2 or 3 years. And it's very interesting because it seems like about 43% of the refugees who have presented to the United States since 2016 have been children aged 0 to 17, 43%. And roughly 50% have been female. And about 60% of these arrivals were dependents, which means mostly women and children. So the idea that most refugees are violent young men is not substantiated by the documented statistics. These are people who are fleeing dire circumstances and looking for some opportunity to protect their families and give a life for their families. And certainly as Roane County citizens and as a County, we want to project an image of welcome to everybody who wants to live here, and that we have open hearts, and that we agree with Governor Lee that this is a humanitarian crisis, and he is deeply involved, and he's been involved in refugee resettlement and services for many years, predating his run for the governor. And his wife, Marie, is also involved with refugees in Nashville, women of Kurdish descent whose husbands were murdered because they were interpreters for the United States during the Iraq War. And so he has said, I will not turn my back on these people. And he believes there's a biblical mandate in his Christian faith, and I would agree for myself. The Bible speaks very strongly to our obligation to have open hearts and welcome our fellow brothers and sisters who are struggling, who need a helping hand. They can fit into our communities. Realistically speaking, the chances that any would actually end up here in Roane County are slim to none, because usually they go to the larger cities for their services, and also where there's a community already there. And so we could probably rest assured that resolution is not even necessary. As I understand it, a county has to take the initiative to say, yes, we want refugees in order to be considered a receiving community. And if we say nothing, then we're counted out. So the resolution is not even necessary. So let's not go that route. Let's give a good image for Roane County, for everyone who wants to come, that this is a place for everyone, and that race and creed and national origin don't matter. If you want to come here and you have a heart to work and to educate your children, we welcome you with open arms. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steele.
Hello everybody, my name is Lucinda Sheth. I live at 661 DeArmond Road in Kingston, and I am on the opposite side of the fence of this refugee resettlement. I lived in New York for 36 years. I saw when the blind sheik got his refugee asylum status, and he and his follower did the first bombing in 1993 of the World Trade Center. The Sarnea brothers are refugees, asylum seekers. They did the Boston bombing. The list is very long about these people, and I love people. In my opinion, America has no obligation to foreign nationals to settle them, educate them, give them health care, or house them. We have an American obligation to our citizens here in this country. And on top of everything, there's 30 million plus illegal aliens running around. And don't tell me they're in the shadows, they're not. They're sitting right in the classroom next to Johnny and Susie that we're paying for. So we have an open welfare state with open borders, and we're bringing more people in. And the thing I have to say about this is that the followers of Muhammad have a political system cloaked in a religion. Islam is not the religion of peace, otherwise there would be peace in the Middle East. But their religion, their 3 books, deal with 1/3 of how to treat each other, and the 2/3 of the books, the 3 books, are how to deal with us, the infidel, the kafir, and so far it's not very pretty. So I say, let's have a say on refugees with the resolution passed today.
Thank you, Ms. Sheet. Anyone else like to address the commission?
I am Jessie M. Jones. I am a resident in 115 Shady Lane, Midtown Heights, Harriman. I've come here tonight because I'm very disturbed that we would open our doors of America with so many Americans, and we're just being killed and shot down on every side. And it's not always our American people that's doing it. It's a little band of people that wants to destroy this word freedom. I'm concerned that we let people in because of this. I'll also remind you about the Manhattan Project at Oak Ridge. They come in here, they come in through, just go in the door. The first thing you know, they know everything in the world about us. They'll be able to run the place, take the place over, and we'll have to conform to their way of life instead of living under the freedom band of In God We Trust and the way we've been raised. This is why we should respect that this is our homeland. We give our lands for the Manhattan Project. Farms was just give over that we might have freedom for ourselves and the world. And I'm asking you to consider very seriously not opening the doors for any more foreigners to come in here to be educated, to take the ground from under our feet.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Mariana Mitchener-Monk, and I live at Kathy Circle 1505 here in Kingston. Last week I looked at the newspaper, and before I could even check myself, a wave of shame rolled over me that those of us who live in this county would keep out people who have suffered such ungodly things in their last 2 to 3 years. They've watched their sisters and mothers raped. They have watched their fathers and brothers killed. They have walked for heaven knows how long to America only to be starved, beaten, and otherwise mistreated in our so-called camps at the border. Then they finally get in the tent and they have a court meeting with a judge who not only does not know Spanish, but couldn't care less. And after they tell their horrific tales, then they have to hear, okay, and you're denied. And so they have to go out and leave. If we could treat people this way, when we have a tradition, all of us, Catholic, Christian, Jewish, to give a home to the stranger. It says that in 12 to 15 books of the Bible, that our duty on life is to feed the hungry and house the poor and be good and do justice to all. My own family came over in the 1600s. America would not want them. They were the poorest farmers that they could be. They were Huguenots, so they had been very naughty in their own home. They had been against the Queen, and they had fought for their own freedom, and in doing so, they had done very naughty things. But when they came to America, they started a farm, the country's #1 rated apple farm. They grew their corn, and they became the people, the next generation or two, that fought in the Revolutionary War and helped us to win our freedom. So please rethink shutting out people who need us and have suffered more than any of us have. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else like to address the commission? Go right ahead.
My name is Eva Brown. I live at 180 Forest Road. And although I know some of these people are very well-meaning, they need to be educated as to exactly what is going on, what the refugee program is all about. First of all, how do these so-called refugees get here? Application. Refugees need to show a well-founded fear of persecution due to political view, membership in a racial, ethnic, religious, or social group. This definition has been so widely stretched that's essentially meaningless. For example, U.S. law declares that the China one-child policy...
Ms. Brown, I don't want to interrupt you. Put that microphone up just a little bit. You're kindly loud. Thank you.
The China one-child policy is considered a persecution based on a political view Also, people can seek asylum in the U.S. for things such as domestic abuse, female genital mutilation, or even lack of services for the disabled. In other words, almost the entire population of every Muslim majority nation in the world is potentially eligible to come here and seek asylum or as a refugee. How are they chosen? 95% of the refugees coming to the U.S. are picked by the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. 95%. We have no control over where they come from or how many come here. They are selected, and then in the late 1900s, 1990s, just before the 9/11, the U.S. picked the majority of its own refugees and immigrants, but not anymore. Since in 1965, the immigration generally worked to benefit Americans, and that all changed when the Democrat politicians came up with a scheme to change the demographics. I was quiet when you were speaking. Of the U.S.
Please address the chair, please.
To change the favor of the demographics so that it favors the Democrat Party. The Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, H.R. 2580, enacted in June 30th, 1968, aka known as the Hart-Celler Act, eliminated the concept of quotas that had been in place for decades. By removing quotas, this bill significantly and intentionally, in my opinion, transformed the demographic makeup of the U.S. forever. The new law changed the order of preference using visa categories to focus on family relationships with citizens or U.S. residents rather than skills that had previously taken precedence in the visa decisions. This is what opened the floodgates to the concept of chain migration. If this was a scheme by the Democrats, which I believe it was, now they could label those who oppose these efforts to diversifying America as racist or xenophobic, while importing generations of future voters from then on immediately.
You could please bring your comments to conclusion, please.
All right, let me just say that the refugee program is nothing more than, it serves as a charity, more or less, for third world countries. And it has become a multi-billion-dollar industry. The State Department awards, they have a huge network of contractors who are the ones that do the resettling. They are chosen by the State Department. They are paid so much per refugee that they bring into this country and resettle. And the refugees, once they are...
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Thank you.
I would like to finish my point.
I'll give everyone ample time, and I'd let you go over just a little bit, Ms. Brown.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the commission? Could you please step to the podium, sir, and state your name and address?
Thank you. My name is Bob Miles. I'm from Loudoun County. I hope you will let me continue speaking, even though I'm not a resident.
You got 3 minutes.
These people that will be coming over here are not the kind of people that came here back after World War II from Belgium and France and Italy. These people will be coming from Syria and Iraq. These people were raised by a religion that preaches the destruction of America. These people were raised by a religion to hate Americans. The Saudi Arabians that were vetted for the Naval Air Station in Pensacola, Florida, they were vetted, but one turned and killed 3 people. How are they going to vet these people to come over here and assimilate in our lifestyle? They cannot do it. I beg you to ask the people in Shelbyville, Tennessee, what they think of the many Somalians that were forced on them in their city. Ask the people in Nashville and Murfreesboro of the many Kurds that were forced on them. By the way, Nashville is fixing to build their 3rd mega mosque. And Chattanooga has 3. I went to a funeral in Chattanooga to memorialize that Marine that was killed down there by a guy that went to one of those mosques. Now, you've heard tonight how wonderful these people can do and what they can do for us and things like that. No, they will not. They will come over here, they will be given taxpayer money, and they won't assimilate. They will take handouts, and I'm just sorry to say that it's not what some of these people have told you tonight. Glenn Jacobs, county mayor of Knoxville, and Ken Cannon, the city mayor of Knoxville, wants these refugees. These rules state that if they go to Knox County or Knoxville, they can't be placed in Roane County. They can be placed within 50 or 100 miles from a county that wants them. They can be placed into a county that has not refused them. I'm telling you the truth. And my time is about up, and I have a whole lot more to say, but I beg you to pass this resolution like Loudoun County did. Loudoun County was the first county in Tennessee to do it. I would love for Roane County to be the second one.
Thank you, sir.
Evening. My name is Don Smith. I live at 103 Forest Berry. That's Oak Ridge. I want to just get back to the basics. A refugee is a person that comes to a country because they are in duress. There is fear of either political, religious, physical altercations. And I need everybody in this room to look around. If you're not Native American, somewhere along the line you've got refugees or immigrants in your bloodline. What about all the Italian families after the wars and stuff like that? The dirty mix coming over here, nobody wanted them. The Chinese, they didn't want the Chinks. We are better people than this. If it wants to be a political issue, go to the ballot box and vote. Let's not make Roane County regret something.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to address the commission? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Sherry Paris. I live at 114 Lock Haven Road in Rockwood. We heard earlier tonight, and I'm not picking on it, I'm celebrating the fact that we have new opportunities for industry and tourism in our country, in our county. And part of that is the image what we're presenting. You look at the small town in Missouri that was on NPR this week because they were one of the first communities to say no. That's the type of publicity that will come from us making an maybe unnecessary statement by putting this out there at this time. We have a Roane Commission that's really trying to publicize this as a vacation place. Sevier County had some bad publicity that they had to come through based on statements in the face of some comments that were made. I just feel like we should take a step back and look at the type of publicity we'll be generating by not being a welcome committee and accepting of different people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Paris. Anyone else like to?
My name is Elaine Steele. If I may add a couple of items that my husband had mentioned. I lived at 402 Indigo Bunting Drive. I just want to ask if people understand the number of people that will be coming possibly to Tennessee across the state. 2,000 people. It's not unlimited numbers. It's not great masses of people. It's 2,000 people who have been vetted. And yes, the vetting process has been up the ante by our president so that it is even harder to get into our country now than it ever has been in the past. So yes, if you say you don't trust the vetting, then you don't trust the people that created the vetting, which is our current administration, who wants to lower the number of people that come to America. And you know, we have come here to live in Roane County. There are lots of people in our neighborhood that are coming from other states because Tennessee is a great place to live, but they're not used to living in an area where people are closed off from other people. They're used to living in multicultural communities. They've had the opportunity to know people as their neighbors and as their, you know, friends at work. And you know, when you get to know people as people, it loses this idea of them and us. They become us as well. I don't know, I worked in the medical field. How many great physicians are out here in our local communities that are Indians? If we didn't have Indian physicians in our communities, we might not have physicians at all. I just hope that we look at people as people, not the outside color, not what they, you know, where they came from, but they're people. They're people who are in desperate need, and we can make a difference in their life, and they can make a difference in our life.
Thank you, Ms. Steele.
I'm going to make my statement brief, and it's extemporaneous. I apologize. I'll probably... my name's Liz Singley. I live at 179 Fars Road, and we are, well, I'm a Presbyterian, and one of the songs that we sing is "Be not afraid, sing out for joy, Christ is risen, alleluia." And I think that as most of the people in here are probably people of God, and we are called to be generous, to trust that creation was good, that God has given us the abundance that we need to live a good life, and we will share. And we are called to be fearless, to love fearlessly, and trust that God's kingdom will come about. And I think that we should act accordingly. I think we should live accordingly and be, not with eyes closed, wise as serpents and guileless as children. And I think we're called in this case, with this enormous abundance this nation has, 2,000 people in Tennessee, across 90 some odd counties. I think it's going to be a good thing for all of us. And I think we should not publicly declare, or we should not close our doors, and we shouldn't publicly declare, no, we don't want these people here. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else like to address the commission? Anyone else like to address the commission? Seeing none, we'll move forward to the county attorney's report.
Mr. Chairman. Just, if I may, I really appreciate this pretty spirited debate from folks who have chosen to come here. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here and speaking your mind, because that's the freedom that you have. And we don't often get a lot of folks. So I appreciate what they've done here tonight, and appreciate you giving them the time to speak, and hope you'll come back for other issues as well.
It'd be nice to see this every month. Mr. Lefevue.
I have a couple of matters. A great percentage of the work that I do for you lately has involved with property maintenance cases, and you see the orders every month from the pending cases in your packet. And we have had a lot of success with getting the property owners to come in and clean up their property and remove their junk vehicles and their debris, basically through the efforts of the Code Enforcement Office and the Chancellor working with them. About the only time that we, as a governmental body, have had to go onto a piece of property and clean it up, haul off cars or tear down houses are when the owners of the property are dead and no estate has been opened, or we cannot locate the owners. And that has been rare. Based on what has happened in some recent cases in our court, I'm here to advise you that it appears that Roane County is going to have to take a more active role in cleaning up these properties. In the past, the chancellor has basically put a jail sentence on these people if they don't comply with his orders to clean up their properties. And there have been situations where he has actually incarcerated people, and in order to get out of jail, they've got to make arrangements to get their properties cleaned up. That has not been happening in the recent cases that I have had in front of him. He is beginning to order the county to go in and clean up those properties rather than jailing the owners. So I anticipate that we're going to be incurring more expenses in cleaning up those properties. We have...
Not to interrupt, this is the chancellor?
This is the chancellor.
Okay, thank you.
We have one that was in court this past month that you'll probably get the order on your packet next month. It's a junkyard, an illegal junkyard that's on Casey Road that we have been dealing with for about 4 years. And he ordered the county to go in and clean up the property itself. So that's going to be one expensive one that we're going to have to deal with. So I see that our role is going to be changing as far as these properties where the people will not voluntarily comply with the court order. So I wanted to make you aware of that. Secondly, you have on your agenda tonight a property at 820 Dogtown Road that is an illegal junkyard. And I need to report to you that I have a conflict of interest in that particular case. The property owner that you will have to sue, I'm already representing him in a lawsuit in Chancery Court against another private person. So you will have to hire outside counsel for that one case because I'm precluded from filing it since I'm already representing him. I regret having a conflict of interest because I know that costs the county money, and this is the first one that I've had, but I just wanted to make you aware of that.
And that's resolution 12002, I believe?
Yes, and it's for the one property on Dogtown Road. The remainder of the properties, I can pursue those for you. That is all I have tonight. In case there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Mr. Moore, then Mr. Meadows.
So when we cleaned up the process that we're going to try to do, then we file a lien on that property to recover our investment.
We file a lien on the property, and then if the lien doesn't get paid, it can be added to the property tax bill and collected at a tax sale, or we can obtain an order to have a separate sale just for that one piece of property.
Mr. Meadows.
Mr. Moore pretty much asked the same question I was going to. I guess we could sue them in court and get a judgment and execute the judgment as well?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Mr. Berry.
A lot of these properties that you see have a lot of stuff on them. If the county has to go in and clean those up, how do we avoid them coming back on us for getting their personal property involved, or something that, I mean, is anything on the property that we consider, that someone considers to be the litter, gives us the freedom to pick it up?
Well, first of all, we have to sue them, and then we get a court order, and we have authority from the court to go in and pick it up. We have honored their due process rights by giving them the opportunity to have a day in court to say, no, this isn't in violation, or no, this serves a useful purpose, it's not junk. So we don't do anything until we have given them an opportunity to come to court and defend if they choose to do so.
So all those bags that are out there, they need to clean and get what there's personal, and then the rest of it, we have the authority through the courts to pick up and dispose.
We get the authority through the court, yes.
Any other questions or comments for the county attorney? Thank you, Counselor. Thank you. County Executive's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Got a few things I'd like to discuss with you all, share with you, but placed on your desk, you'll see a little trifold. Connie and her staff is seeking the award for outstanding achievement on the popular annual financial reporting. So this is just a real thumbnail sketch of the finances. Now bear in mind, it is to a standard that GFOA has, and you know, the first question a lot of people have, and we'll go ahead and clarify this, is on the population. The population that is reflected by city is by the entire city. So if you see Oak Ridge at 29,009, that's the 2010 census. That is the entire city of Oak Ridge, not just the Roane County part. If you try to do a search now on how many citizens in Oak Ridge live in the Roane County, that's something we can't find. The last couple of times I did it, I cannot even find that census data. So we have our census lady here in a few minutes that may be able to help explain some of that to us, but it's kind of, you know, we have Oak Ridge that's in 2 cities, you have Oliver Springs that's in 3 cities, so these are the city populations, not just those in Roane County. And it does not delineate, of course, the rural residents or the residents outside of any of those cities. But there's some good information. You can see that Connie and her staff has put together, and hopefully we'll get an award on that. Speaking of finances, in front of you, you'll see that the summary of financial statement that Connie's office puts together. And this time of the year, what we really look at is a comparison a lot of times with last year's property tax collection at the same point in time. And we're glad to say that this year we are already at 49% collection of property tax. Last year we were at 44.8, almost 45%. So from that, I want to bring your attention, if you will, look at your finances just a minute, and I want to share something else with you. On page 3 of 30, in the middle of the page, you'll see revenue. The actual revenue was $7.2 million, almost $7.3 million, up through December. So this is the general fund only, and of course we run about 26 of these little companies, or big companies, but this company, the general fund, predominantly the biggest expenditures there, of course, is the sheriff, the jail, and then all the courthouse departments. But we received $7.3 million in revenue, so to speak. If you'll flip over one more page, you'll see the expenditures to date in that same column at 10.8 million almost. So we received 7.3, we've spent out 10.8. Now, we track these by each fund, and people want to know, why does the county have so much money at June 30th? We call it our fund balance. Each fund has it. We have to have it because these operations are in cash deficits the first 6 and 7 months of the year, but we're waiting on the property tax. So just a little part of the training that we give to county commissions and ourselves is we have to track this because we're tracking the cash. You have to have enough money to start your year and operate 6 months because the revenue comes in December, January, and February, predominantly property tax. Each fund is different. Each fund has a different calculation. Some funds are positive at this time. A lot of them are negative, but it's because of that That's the reason when we do fund balance policies, we have to take that in consideration. I was flipping on over to another one. The schools right now, they have a large fund balance, but as a percentage of their budget is small. But right now, if you're looking at this being a profit loss, they've got a $4.3 million profit. That's one reason that the cash fund balance that they start with is basically about what the general fund starts with, even though their budget may be 60 million and ours may be 18 million. It's because we have to manage the cash at each fund level. So that's just something, if you cannot sleep at night, this is a summary report. If we gave you the total report, it's about 6 or 7 times this thick. Anybody have any questions on the financials? If I don't know them, I will make them up. So.
Never stopped you before. That's right.
What's that?
Never stopped you before.
Never stopped it before. Just another thing on the financial matters, Connie and I were on a conference call.
I already said that was it.
Pardon?
I said you already said that was it.
That was just it for this one. So another financial matter, we were on a conference call 2 weeks ago, with Standard & Poor's as they were fixing to rate our new bond issue that we're fixing to sell. So we will have bonds for sale in about 2 weeks, or about 10 days, 10 or 12 days. They will be selling those bonds where we borrowed the money for the Oliver Springs project. We have received internally the rating report. I will say that Standard & Poor's were very appreciative of the work that we've done here, the policies that you've adopted. They commented on us having strong financial policies of fund balance and debt management. So we have a AA rating, which is pretty good for a county our size. We've been at AA for many years, but they commented on a strong financial reporting system and policies. And I want to commend you all for adopting some of those policies. We'll probably look at 1 or 2 others that they recognize in the report. They said, we recognize that you have these informal reports, and they did that the last couple of times. And I got with Connie and said, why don't we just make these informal policies of reporting and preparing budgets? Why don't we make them more formal? So we'll probably do that in the next budget adoption. With that said, Susan Whitt is here with us today. She is with the U.S. Census Department, and we're trying to encourage everyone to be counted. So, Susan, I'm going to defer the rest of my time to her.
Thanks, Ron, and I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to be here, and I'm so sorry it's 8 o'clock and football is starting, so I will try to be brief. I have been asked to come before you to give you a census update regarding the activities that we've done in Roane County thus far. Our County Mayor, Ron, created a complete count committee in February, and we trained them regarding how important the census is, that it brings $675 billion in funding to your community programs and services that improve the quality of life of your residents. We trained the committee that the information was secure. It's a felony for any of us workers to disclose any census information, any personal information regarding anything that we get from any of the residents in Roane County. We can be fined up to $250,000 and put in jail for 5 years, up to 5 years. And we train them on how easy it is to complete the census, our mail-outs for the census, giving everyone an invitation to go online and complete the census, go out in March. They can go online, complete the census with any device that can attach to the internet. They can still call by phone to complete the census, and then our paper questionnaires go out in April, and they can complete the paper questionnaire and get that census information out. We not only, through the county executive, formed a complete count committee to ensure an accurate count. He also did a proclamation in Roane County showing the support of Roane County for the census, and their assistance in helping us get a complete count in Roane County. We've had events throughout Harriman, Rockwood, and Kingston with census tables where we've distributed census messaging to Roane County residents. And then with the help of Roane County News, we had a front page article in December, and our county newsletter for January also gives information regarding the importance of the census and our need for recruiting. As I just stated, our mailouts go out in March. We need workers to do the census job. We are at 116 more than we need in Roane County for the 525 total. In order for the census to be a success, we need workers to be able to do the work. Those that don't complete the census, when we send the invitations and the paper questionnaires, we'll be sending individuals to the door to collect the information. We need your help to get those applicants. They can go to 2020census.gov/jobs. We have now increased the pay in Roane County to $26 an hour. It's 58 cents a mile, and it's flexible. They can make their own hours. I'm going to introduce you to Sonny Hunter here. He is our RA. He is our recruiting specialist for Roane County. If you have any questions regarding the application process, background checks, and actual numbers as far as where we are regarding our recruiting, he can give you that information. Until this month, we've been in the red, but thanks to our Roane County News and our newsletters and the help of Sonny recruiting through this area, we are now in the yellow and we're going for green. So we need your help going for green and getting applicants for Roane County to do the work of Roane County. We also are working with all the school districts. If you'll look in your folders, we have tract information regarding every tract in Roane County. And as Ron had stated, he was trying to figure out what was Oak Ridge and what was Roane. You can actually go in on Roane in the census and click on each tract and get population information regarding those that are living in that area. And I can actually give you information.
I probably need some help on that, thank you.
And we will help you as much as possible. And we are working with each of the school districts. We need your help in sponsoring schools in your district. We're asking our commissioners, our city council members, our business leaders in this community to help sponsor schools in your districts. Our middle and high schools are going to be doing poster contests against each class. In the winners of each class, they're going to have a pizza party. These posters are not only going to be put up at the schools, but throughout Roane County to promote the census and to motivate people to respond to the census. And it's about a $25 investment, but we need your help in getting sponsors and getting these pizza parties for these classes that are actually winning in your Roane County schools. In order for the 2020 census to be successful, it's going to take everyone's participation. And I've included a Shape the Road flyer in your folders, and it gives you an outline of what we've done and what we need to continue doing. We've met with our city manager in Kingston, our city administrator in Rockwood. Rockwood has the highest low response scores, over 20%. And so we're focusing some efforts, especially in Rockwood, to try and get self-response in Rockwood and recoup that funding that we've lost over the last 10 years. Also in your folders, information on our children under 5. We missed 1 million kids last year. Well, not last year, last census, in 2010. That's millions of dollars in programs and services that we need to get back for the next 10 years. So we need to get the message out on how important it is to complete the census, and don't forget the kids. Don't forget the babies in the hospital. Don't forget your children that might be in foster care or living with grandparents. If they are in your home, whether it be your grandchildren, nieces, nephews, or Uncle George, if they are in your home on April 1st, count them on your census. We want to keep that funding and those dollars in Roane County. And it's going to take all of us to do the work of the census. Any questions?
Just in case you're wondering about that pay, commissioners, you can't be employed by the census as an elected official, so that Mr. Barry.
Sure. So we have 78 days till April the 1st.
Yes.
And that's the big day.
That's actually kind of it's not the end of the census, it's just a point of reference. I'm not sure whether to count this person in my house. We miss a lot of college students because parents don't count their college students living at home because they're adults. Yes, you count your college students if they're living in your house and sleeping in your bed on April 1st. That's point of reference.
A couple things. One, I think last year in the state of Tennessee, there were 500,000 children under the age of 5 not counted. That's $1,000 a year for 10 years. I don't know what, and you said we had how many in Roane County, kids not counted, 1,000?
Well, we've missed 1 million children throughout the United States.
Okay, so 500,000 of those were in Tennessee. And $1,000.
Well, based on the figures that you're quoting, if you miss one family of 5, that represents $50,000 over the next 10
I don't
years.
think it was half of the, you said
5
500,000?
families of
5,000
5 or
children
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Under the age
in
of
funding.
5.
She said 1 million nationwide, but 500,000, well, that's, I mean.
That's what we were told.
Okay.
And the other thing on college kids, as I understand it, if you put that your college youngster is in Knoxville going to school, then Knox County gets that money.
Right, exactly. You're
So-
going, whichever college, if you're in a dorm in Knoxville, or, well, now, if they're going to college in Knoxville but living at home, then they're gonna count at their home residence.
But if they're in a
They'll
dorm,
only count in Knoxville in group quarters count, which they're going to be starting soon in Knoxville, yes, if they're living in the
So we
dorm.
need all of our college kids to
Come home on April
to be home, April 3rd. That's my point, is
There you
that we're losing whatever number of college kids that we have away from home in that number.
If they're living in the dorms.
Right.
Now, if they're living at home, they will.
So what happens if those parents don't understand that if they're living in a dorm and count them as living at home?
Well, in September, they'll actually be bringing all the information together. If we have any duplication, it'll be weeded out before it's put on the president's desk on December 31st.
Okay, so we have a really good plan then between now and April the 1st to make sure that we, because I haven't heard anything in Rockwood.
Yes, we do. In fact, the city manager in Kingston is going to, we sent him information. He's going to choose what is going to go in our utility bills, but there are going to be inserts in all of the utility bills that go to all the residents that have electricity throughout Roane County. And
Now that's Kingston.
that's our Kingston city manager. Our Roane County administrator, they're doing similar inserts, not only in the utility bills, but they're also doing it in the vehicle registration, and so is Kingston in their.
So is RU on board with that as well?
Yes, yes,
Good,
I
good.
have
Okay, very
actually
good.
supplied them with materials. And any information that you can get across in our roadmap, it talks about newsletters, websites, Facebook, utility bills, chat rooms, anywhere that you can get census messaging, put it on there and get that message out that the census is important, it is secure, and it's easier than ever now to complete the census. We need your help in doing that.
Very good.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. Anybody else? Questions? Go ahead, Ms. Wood.
Sure.
Thank you for the information. I was sitting here wondering about the homes. Who counts the homes?
That'll be covered in our group quarters count, and again, that's why we need our 116 people in Roane County to go online and apply today, 2020census.gov/jobs, because that is part of what is going to be going on now through April is our group quarters, where we're going to be counting the homeless, soup kitchens, dormitories, nursing homes, any facilities that actually house people will be part of our group quarters count. And then starting in May is when our census takers start going to the doors within a 5-mile radius of their home, and further if they're willing to go, to get that census information from our residents. And we want it to be our Roane County citizens that apply for these jobs because they have a vested interest in the outcome. We want them going to the homes and getting that census information because it's people each of us know. They know their areas, the safety of their areas, and they want to keep that money in Roane County as well.
Any more questions for Ms. Witt?
And I do have posters available for anyone that would like to have a poster, a census messaging poster. I will leave them in our city mayor's office, in our county mayor's office, and you can go there and collect the posters to distribute all over Roane County and every building, businesses, organizations, agencies. We're asking all of you, come get these posters and put them up where there's a lot of foot traffic and people can see how important it is for them to complete the census.
Thank you, Ms. Witt.
My pleasure, thank you.
Still under the county executive's report, Mr. Woody.
Anyone have any questions for me?
Thank you, Mr. Woody.
Thank you.
Move along, we have resolution under zoning resolutions, resolution 012010, resolution of the Roane County Planning Commission recommending action of the Roane County Legislative Body on a resolution amending the Roane County zoning map as requested by Eckerd Halsher. I'm sure I've not pronounced that right, on Paint Rock Road from OI to R1. Got a motion by Commissioner Hester, second by Commissioner Cunningham. Commissioner Hester.
Another request, we discussed it.
Commissioner Cunningham.
No further.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Hendrickson.
On this one page here, it says they want the property rezoned to R1, so new owners will not be able to use property other than residential. So who's asking for this? Is it the new property owners or the previous property owners?
Mr. Gopher.
The request was made by the adjoining property owners, but the actual property owner, Mr. Jones, come in and he's not against having the property rezoned. And it comes from the Planning Commission with full recommendation to be rezoned.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Meadows.
Can you describe real briefly what the zoning differences are and where they are, where they're going?
Yeah, R1 is developing our low-density residential. OI is office institutional, is different permitted uses.
Any other questions or comments on resolution 012001Z? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and record the vote. Resolution 012001Z is adopted. Move along to old business, resolution 121904, resolution asking the state legislature to consider school superintendent position becoming an elected position.
I'd ask that, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Bell?
I'd ask that you, before we get into a long discussion about this, because it could turn that way, that we would recognize the people that.
As soon as we finished old business, that's what I was going to do, Mr. Bell.
I thought we'd bring it special.
Do I have a motion for resolution 121904?
Yeah.
Oh. Motion by Commissioner Bashirs. Second by Commissioner Hendrickson. Commissioner Bashirs.
When I was running for election, about 90% of the people asked me why we don't do this, because elected officials, they have a chance to do what they're supposed to do as a school superintendent. If they're under the control of the school board can control them instead of the people controlling the school. The people want to vote for their person that they want to be there, and that's the reason this resolution was brought up.
Commissioner Hendrickson.
Further, says vote.
Any other questions or comments on the resolution? And just right before we vote, this is just a recommendation to the legislature. This don't mean that there's going to be elected school superintendents going forward. This is just a recommendation to the legislature, encouraging for us to go back to an elected superintendent of schools. So everyone's clear about that. Nothing binding, just a recommendation. Seeing then, we'll go ahead and take the vote. Resolution 12-1904 is adopted with an 11-3 vote. Now, without objection, I would like to, without objection from the commission, I'd like to move Resolution 01-2003 and I'll get these straight tonight somehow, 01-2004 to the first of new business. Objection, so we'll take up Resolution 01-2003, a resolution honoring William Bill Golston Jr. Motion by Commissioner Hendrickson. Second by Commissioner Beshears. Commissioner Hendrickson.
I just appreciate everybody supporting this. Bill Golston was a very good and honorable man. And, you know, I wish we would do more of these while they're still with us. That's all I have.
Commissioner Beshears.
I've met him 2 or 3 times, and I thought the world of him whenever I talked to him and had conversations with him. I think he's a fine man.
Any other questions or comments? No, we'll record the vote. Resolution 01-2003 is adopted. If the family could come forward here to accept the resolution that's here. Come right here, Corey, or stand right beside Mr. Hendrickson.
Resolution honoring William Bill Golston Jr., whereas he was of the Baptist faith, and whereas he was a member of Southgate and Sonic Lodge, 569 32nd degree Mason, and whereas he owned and operated Golston's Record Service in Harriman for over 40 years. He was named Tow Man of the Year for saving a life, and whereas he was a former police officer for City of Rockwood and Harriman Police Department, where he served Assistant Chief. And now, therefore, be resolved, the Roane County Commission does hereby honor William B. Golston, Jr. I'll tell a quick story when he was Tow Man of the Year. And I can't remember if it was close to his shop or what, but there was a boy, a young man in a car wreck, and he was slung out of the car, and the car was actually laying on him. And the police got there, and they called for ambulance, rescue squad, and all that. Well, Bill got there first. And if anybody knows Bill Golston, how he was, he had one speed. And if you didn't like it, you dang sure wasn't going to not like the next. But I can see him now hitting a speed that none of us had ever saw, and he got that car rigged up and lifted off that boy, and that did save his life, and they was able to get him to a trauma unit. So I just wanted to share that.
I do appreciate it. You know, Bill's my father-in-law. We spent 21 years together with them trucks, and he really is appreciated. I don't think he could be replaced around here. And I'd like to thank everyone here for showing the support for him. I do mean it. Thank you.
Bill's wife couldn't be here tonight. She is battling cancer, so she had treatment today. Thank you.
Just stay right there, Commissioner. Resolution 01-2004, resolution honoring the services of Keith Howe. Motion by Commissioner Hendrickson. Second by Commissioner Berry. Commissioner Hendrickson.
I'll save my comments for here in a minute.
Commissioner Berry.
Must be being set up here, he's saving his comments. Keith Howell has been an institution here in the courthouse for a long time. He's an institution wherever he is, but especially here in the courthouse. And Keith and his family, you know, is
His dad was an institution around Harriman, and Keith, we appreciate what you've done here in the courthouse, keeping the old place up as much as you can. I know you can only do so much. We appreciate your service and look forward to seeing you around in a different capacity, but happy retirement.
Any other questions or comment on Resolution 12004? Seeing none, we'll record the vote. Resolution 12004 is adopted. Keith, Miss Dee Dee, you come on up here. And the family, you want to come?
Resolution honoring Keith Howe, whereas Keith began working in Roane County Courthouse 2002, whereas Keith has dedicated 17 years of service to Roane County government. And now therefore be resolved that the Roane County Commission does hereby honor and thank Keith Howe for his service to Roane County. My experience with Keith goes back as far as I can remember. His family, my family have been friends and all that, but one of the memories I have of Keith is him running the dirt races, the racetracks. And the one thing I really appreciated about him, he didn't care if you was a local boy, if he bought you a Christmas present, if he knowed you that well, or if you was an out-of-town racer, you got treated the same. And that's the way he treated us, and I greatly appreciate that and respect that out of him. And thank you for being a good friend.
Thank you, bud.
Appreciate you.
Keith, I know you ain't going to pass the opportunity up to speak.
Yeah, I'll take one drink with all of it.
Keith, would you like to say a few words?
I want to thank everybody for this opportunity to be here, and thank for everybody letting me work here. And met a lot of good friends, most of them. But thank you for everything that y'all have done.
So when's the working gonna start?
I'll go back to work sometime.
Mr. Chairman, I think he was trying to beat me to see who turned their paperwork in first. Mine was December the 31st. Good to know you, Brother Keith.
You too, brother.
Thank you. Moving back to the regular agenda, Resolution 12001, a resolution authorizing Roane County Attorney to file a lawsuit regarding the properties as listed on attached case request form by violating Roane County Resolution 12-1805 and/or Resolution 12-1806 regarding the 2018 International Building Codes and the 2018 International Residential Codes. Motion by Commissioner Meadows, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Meadows.
I'd like to yield to Mr. Cofer in case he would like to add anything to these cases, but the pictures speak for themselves.
Mr. Cofer.
I think Mr. Meadows said it pretty well. The pictures should speak for themselves.
Mr. Meadows. Commissioner White.
I have nothing to add, sir.
Any more questions or comments on 12001? Ms. Hester.
So on item number 3, is that the one we're going to remove because you have a conflict of interest?
Well, you're not going to have to remove it.
Well, we continue with the resolution, but we'd have to seek another council to,
Yes, and that's on resolution
The next one.
12002.
okay, maybe I'm getting ahead. Yeah. I'm good with the first one.
Any other questions or comments? No, we'll take the vote. Resolution 12001 is adopted. Resolution 12002, a resolution authorizing the county attorney to file lawsuits against each property owner regarding the properties as listed on attached case form by violating Roane County Resolution 2101, April 2013, regarding the Roane County zoning regulations and or Resolution 11403 regarding overgrown vegetation and accumulated debris. Motion by Commissioner Meadows, second by Commissioner White. And right quick, Mr. Meadows, how do you want us to handle this with, like Mr. Hester was speaking, just pass it the way it is and we had to...
Just pass it the way it is, and then, Mr. Woody, you'll need to find someone.
I think I have the authority.
You have the authority.
Commissioner Meadows.
I have nothing to add unless Mr. Copeland has anything.
If anybody has any questions.
Commissioner White.
to add.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we record the vote. Resolution 12002 is adopted. Thank you, Mr. Coker. Thank you. Resolution 12005, a resolution to name a bridge on Highway 27 in honor of David Courier. Motion by Commissioner Berry, second by Commissioner Hendrickson. Commissioner Berry.
I'd gotten a phone call, I guess 3-5 months ago from, I think it was the granddaughter of David Courier, Jan Courier. She asked me if I would see if we could get a bridge named after David out on 27, the last bridge in Roane County on 27. And I told her I would, and so Senator Yeager had indicated to her that for him to get it on this year's legislative calendar, that we would need to pass a resolution tonight. So that's why I brought it up. And one thing I would like to amend is the first line where it says he served the 2nd District of Roane County, Tennessee for many years. That should be 16 years. Instead of many years, that should be 16 years. I think it was 94 to 2010. And I would welcome anyone wanting to join on submission. Like I say, when she called, time was of the essence, and that's why I did it. So I'm sure all of you, I know Commissioner East served with Commissioner Courier here, and he was involved in athletics both in Harriman and Oliver Springs. I think he was the baseball coach at Oliver Springs High School for a while, and boys and girls basketball coach in Harriman, and a really good guy. In fact, I think he worked here at the courthouse in the evenings with our inmates for a while. So he served in many capacities, and so I would hope that the commission would see fit to pass this resolution. Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Hendrickson, would you take that 16 years as a friendly amendment?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Mr. Hendrickson, you have any question or comment?
Barry pretty well covered everything, so we'll let it go with that. He was a very good commissioner.
Right quick, if the commission's okay with it, and I'm not touching that with my foot, by the way, so you're watching that screen. I know this has not been for the road committee or the legislative committee, either one, so it'd be at the will. I'm fine with it if we don't want to send it, because we've been pretty strict about sending things to committees in the past, but I understand that.
I don't think I don't think the last one we did for Commissioner Bacon did either. So whatever you want to do, though, Mr.
Oh, that's fine with me. I just want to make sure that, I know sometimes we stick to that. So, any other questions or comments, Mr. East?
That's through Mr. Bacon, well, through the commission, because you put it in.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on Resolution 12005? Seeing none, we'll record the vote. Resolution 12005 is adopted, and that will be forwarded on to the legislature through Mr. Woody. Resolution 12006, a resolution to request that Governor Lee be, by written notice, inform the resettlement agencies which maintain offices and operations in Tennessee that they may not place arriving refugees in non-consenting counties. Motion by Commissioner Hendrickson, second by Commissioner Meadows. Commissioner Hendrickson.
I seen what Governor Lee is planning on doing, and I've had a lot of people here tonight say that we're scared, and it has nothing to do with that. I believe in taking care of my family first. I think it's 1 Timothy says, man needs to take care of his home. And I think us as elected officials need to take care of our community. And we have children that are going to school and going home from school hungry. They're home on the weekend hungry. We have vets living under bridges, other homeless people, and elderly that are trying to figure out each month how much food they can buy and still buy medication. And I believe we need to take care of them first. And so until we have anybody that's not hungry and not homeless and have to worry about their medication, then I believe we need to take care of them first, and that's all I have.
Commissioner Meadows, you have the second.
I agree in a lot of ways with Mr. Hendrickson. I'm not scared of immigrants, and I think the right way that they're brought, that they're allowed in is really good. But I look at just the economic side of it, and we have homelessness here, we have hunger, we have medical needs, inadequate school facilities, overcrowded jail. We have our own problems, and I just don't see that we honestly can afford any more stresses on our finances than what we have right now. And I think we need to get a better handle on what we have going on here before we can take on much more. That's all it boils down to.
Commissioner Cannon.
Yes, I appreciate everybody who came, and there's a statement made early. Wish more folks would come to the commission meetings and speak. It really helps us as commissioners to know what people feel and what they think and how they believe. And it helps me. I don't know if it helps other folks, but it certainly is a help to me. As I listen to some of this, and I have read what Governor Lee has said, and early on I appreciate the folks who gave definitions. I went and looked up definitions of refugees and immigrants and illegal aliens and those who seek an asylum. I looked all those definitions up. And if you look up the definition of a refugee, it is someone who is seeking protection. It's someone who cannot protect themselves. I know that's not popular, and believe me, I understand. I mean, right now, we just gone through a crisis with Iran. And tonight, I read on the news earlier today that the police in Iran is shooting citizens because they are refusing to stomp on American flags. It isn't the citizens of that country that hates us, it's the leaders of that country that hates us. We're a free country. Every man and woman in this world seeks one thing: to be free. I mean, that's why we have the United States, is because they seek freedom. And so, in saying that, I don't know if anybody here knows a gentleman by the name of Gerhard Heinz. He's a German. In the early 40s, during the Second War, we had 11 German POW camps in the state of Tennessee. Several was in East Tennessee, one's in Crossville. Some of that one still remains today. In the state of Tennessee, during the Second War, we hated the Nazis. We feared the Nazis. We hated the Nazis. We wanted every Nazi dead because they hated us and they wanted to take over the world. And they wanted to destroy us, and they wanted to make us like them. Evil did not prevail, good prevailed. The Lord blessed us. Let me just clarify that. But anyway, they had camps. those prisoners, when the war was over, they really didn't want to go back to Germany. There were several of those prisoners, several of them, who filed for refugee status, and some are still there. One went back to his country in Germany, was there for 5 years, and while he was there, he applied for citizenship for the United States. He said when he came back to the United States, he was granted it. He was granted it. He said, "I am home." He was home. He spent most of his life in the United States. He resided in Crossville. He was an outstanding citizen. Now, I know they are evil people that do evil things. I mean, they are good people that do bad things. So they are evil people who do evil things, and they are people who seek to kill us and destroy our democracy and wants the United States destroyed. But a refugee is someone who is being oppressed for religious or political views, not because they want to make us a Muslim. The Nazis, I don't know if the Nazis wanted to make everybody a Nazi. I don't really know. Maybe in the 40s, maybe our fathers and our grandfathers and our grandfathers' grandfathers thought we was chosen to be Nazis. But we're not. So, I support Governor Lee. I do. I don't believe in illegal aliens. I think that you know, if you want to be an American, you should apply. You know, we need people. We need people. But it has to be done the right way. And I think those who are seeking refugees are seeking it the right way. That is a process that they are willing to go through to be citizens of the United States. It's a process. It's not illegal. It is a legal process, a federal law that they follow, mandated, that they will go through to become citizens of the United States. So it's not an illegal act. They're not illegal immigrants. They're not illegal aliens. They're not climbing walls. They're not swimming rivers. They are coming over here sponsored and vetted. So I apologize if I said too much, and I don't want to offend those who oppose this. I don't, but we all have a right to how we feel. That's what makes us America. And so that's how I feel. Thank you.
Commissioner Barrett.
Mr. Lefevre, if we're only talking about the federal program now, right? We're not talking about if a church wants to sponsor 8 or 10 families to bring them in, that wouldn't come under this one?
In the early 1980s, Congress passed a refugee assistance statute that's codified in the United States Code. And basically what it did was establish a federal program to relocate refugees. And this statute basically says that in operating this program, the federal government can place these refugees wherever the federal government wants to. That's the law of the land. On September 26 of 2019, President Trump adopted an executive order that basically says that in his administration's application of this federal refugee relocation program, his administration will not place refugees anywhere where the state does not consent and where the local government does not consent. So under this executive order, the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Health and Human Services, in operating this program, is not supposed to place refugees anywhere where the local community does not consent. Now, it just applies to the federal program. It doesn't apply to any private program that a church or a citizen may.
So in this case, Governor Lee is saying on behalf of Tennesseans that he will allow the refugee program.
But under this executive order that the president signed, you have to have both the consent of the state and the locality.
Both of those.
Both of them.
So in essence then, our resolution is of no value. It's voided because if we don't, we would have to vote to take them, right? Not to keep them out, to take them.
Under the executive order, the way that it is written, and I'll read this to you. It says, in particular, the process shall provide that if either a state or a locality has not provided consent to receive refugees under the program, then refugees should not be resettled within that state or locality unless the Secretary of State concludes, following consultation with the Secretary of Health and Human Services and the Secretary of Homeland Security, that failing to resettle refugees within that state or locality would be inconsistent with the policies and strategies established under the federal statute that I just told you. So basically, the intent of this is to require both the state and the locality to consent. Now, I'm not going to say that your resolution is of no effect because your resolution makes a statement on behalf of your body. But I can tell you that, first of all, your resolution has no effect on federal law, and it's a policy statement. And the intent of the executive order that Trump signed on September 26, 2019 is to not place refugees under this federal program in a locality that does not consent to refugees. So your resolution, if you adopt it, you're making a statement that you're not consenting, so you're putting that on the record, and you're making a policy statement as to how this body feels about this particular program.
But the only binding resolution would be for us to vote to accept them, which means then that they can send refugees to us under the federal program, because the state already has under Governor Lee.
Well, like I say, you're making a statement. There's under this executive order, there are two requirements: that the state agrees to accept and that the locality agrees to accept, unless the Secretary of State determines that he needs to place them here anyway, which is consistent with.
Ask it another way. So as long as we don't vote to accept them, then we are within the federal guidelines of not.
As long as you don't vote to accept them, then you're making a statement in accordance with Trump's September executive order that this locality does not want them. Now, having said that, there is a loophole under this executive order that says that if the Secretary of State determines that he needs to place them here, then he can still place them here because you have a federal statute that says that he can place them here anyway. So, but if you adopt this resolution, then you are making it known that you're not consenting to the program being implemented here.
I guess
I just hate to see, again, for something that really, we don't really have to get involved in, I would suggest that we wait until we have to make a vote, a meaningful vote, that keeps us in tune with the law, other than becoming a vote that has no consequence to it, other than just pretty much saying that we are not a body that's willing to accept some folks. I certainly don't want us to be in a position of being a sanctuary county, but I think all of these things that we have control, especially if we have the vote until, because I think there are churches that sponsor these refugees. There are individuals who bring them into their homes, and this might deter some of them from wanting to do that. And I guess I concur with Commissioner Gann. I hope we're better people than that.
Just out of curiosity, how many people has read the full resolution? And just audience too.
What is it?
How many people has read the full resolution?
Full resolution?
As submitted in the paper? Is it just the newspaper? Well, right quick, just at a chance of being shot here, I want to read the resolution so everybody knows. We've all spoke either which way, and I'm not going to take an issue, but I think it's important that we read the resolution. Be it resolved that Roane County does not want to be forced into participating in the federal refugee settlement program due to either Governor Lee's consent and or being with a permissible placement radius of resettlement agency office. Be it further resolved that Roane County requests that Governor Lee retract his consent for initial resettlement in Tennessee for both 1 year period of time as stated in his letter and or actual consent period required by funding notice. Be it further resolved, Roane County requests that in the event Governor Lee does not retract his consent for initial refugee resettlement, that Governor Lee submit a revised letter to consent to the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally and House Speaker Cameron Sexton, exempting non-consenting counties from forced participation in the initial resettlement of refugees in Tennessee. Be it further resolved that Roane County requests that Governor Lee, by written notice, inform the resettlement agencies which maintain offices in operation in Tennessee that it may not place arriving refugees in non-consenting counties. I just wanted to read that to make sure everybody knew exactly what the resolution it was voting on. Mr. Wilson.
Well, echoing what Commissioner Berry was saying, I think, are we not, and even saying just like that, what he just got through saying, are we still, is this even needed? I know that you can make a voice, but are we stirring the, is this going to make any change if the state secretary, if he can still trump us and do whatever he wants in that need, and we're not under imminent threat at this point? Are we making a viable statement that is needed?
Well, you're making a policy statement, and, your office deals with policy. I don't deal with policy, I just deal with law. And legally, under this executive order, you've got the right, when the time comes, to not consent. Now, as to whether or not you want to make a policy statement with this resolution, that is in your prerogative, not mine. But in explaining the law to you, under this executive order, if there is an intent to place people in this program in Roane County.
But we would still have to say yes. Even though we're making a statement, we still have to say yes.
The county would still have the right, regardless of what the outcome of this vote is tonight, to consent or to say no. Under this executive order, until this executive order is changed, or unless the U.S. Secretary of State determines that he needs to place them here anyway. But, you know, you have to understand, these executive orders, they don't change the law that Congress passes. It just states how the Trump administration wants to implement the law that Congress has already passed. And under the executive order, if Roane County is intended to become a part of the program, then under the executive order, you would have the opportunity to say, no, we don't want to be part of the program.
Nothing further.
Commissioner Hooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm going to be brief. One of the things I hadn't heard here tonight, and is close and dear to my heart, is our homeless, our veterans that are living on the street. I haven't heard anything how we're going to combat that problem. Not only here in our county, Knox County, Loudoun County, all the counties surrounding us. And it's not that I'm against anyone coming to this country. That's how our country was founded. But I think we have a moral obligation to those that are in our back door. And we never hear anything about that. It's even got to the point that it has consumed our larger cities. I'd like to echo something else that I heard tonight, is our elder, those that are on fixed income, those that may not have degrees, that they work those labor jobs at minimum wage, that come down to the point that they wanted to retire. And the Social Security was so minute. See, the Lord's blessed me, and I didn't make a lot of money. I had a modest salary. But the Lord blessed me to where I could help my mother. If not, she couldn't afford the medicines that it took her to live for month after month. And the good Lord saw fit to take her home in 2017. So, as biblical as I am, and as biblical as some of you all may be, our charity begins at home. And when we address the issues of what's in our back door, then we are able to grow, stretch our boundaries, and help those that are seeking asylum in the United States. And with that, I'll conclude my remarks.
Commissioner Cunningham.
I'd like to point out what Ms. Paris said when she got up to speak about people looking at Roane County, people, their consideration of living here, why they want to live here, why they don't want to live here. Do we really want a reputation as, well, we don't want outsiders in here, we don't want to help these people? And the definition of the refugee, and of the 480, according to the governor's report, of accepted refugees in Tennessee that were resettled here, more than half of them were from the Congo. They were escaping, they were coming here because they were being raped and murdered and just all those other things. And yes, we have to take care of what we have here at home. But we've had a lifetime to do that, and generations to do that, and it's still here. They're still homeless, and they're still poor, and we still are trying to help them. But these people that are escaping and getting away from a tyranny that we can't even understand, do we really want to put that out there and say that, well, you know, we got to take care of our own first, and 200 years from now, we might have that problem solved, and then we'll take those other people in. And like I said, there's people, I've had phone calls all day from people who said, don't support that resolution. I'd take that refugee family in my home. We're not asking the county to support them. These are people that organizations will support, churches will support. And we're sending our troops overseas to help them anyway. So why not help the ones that are getting beat up? If they want to come over here, and these are vetted people. These are not illegals. I think it's a reputation thing that we need to really think about what Ms. Harris said. Thank you.
Commissioner Hester.
March of 2017, Tennessee filed a lawsuit against the federal government on the Refugee Act of 1980, and it's still pending. So we don't know where that's at. They're seeking to repeal the Code of Federal Regulation 45-400.301. So we still don't know where that's at, and I'd be curious for it. There's more education to be done about this, but let me just tell you where I'm at on this. And I appreciate everybody that came here and spoke. For it, against it, either way. But man, I've had the unique privilege and opportunity to be in 20 foreign countries. A lot of them third world countries. One of the last third world countries I was in, I had to go to an orphanage of all things. Escort some medical personnel down there to care for these 300 or 400 kids in that orphanage. And you know, I had to wear my sunglasses the whole time I was in that compound. If some of those people are part of that refugee, then bring them over there. The children affected by it. I still follow a missionary today that's over there in Iraq, in Syria, today, trying to get kids into an orphanage, into a shelter, trying to get them refugee status. So I support that. And our resolution has no power whatsoever to take away or add to the federal government. Roane County cannot impose its will on the Secretary of State. It just ain't gonna happen. And we ain't gonna do it on the state of Tennessee either. So this would be a good time to do nothing, say nothing, and take no action. But I'm gonna take an action today, and I'm gonna vote against this, because I just don't support it in my heart. I conclude.
Commissioner Bell.
Well, he stole my words. That was as good as you could put it. Just a couple of months ago, I had you could say a refugee from Nicaragua where they had overthrown, stayed in the house for 2 or 3 months. You know, this is not binding. It can be overthrown. And I feel that we're sending a message if we do this to the man that could possibly be funding something here, grant funding something here in Roane County. We send something, and we don't even know what he's proposing. We don't even know how they're going to dissect what his refugee plan is in the state of Tennessee. I mean, the session starts tomorrow, right?
Yes.
They hadn't even started. We don't even know what Tennessee's proposing. We don't even know what the governor wants to do with his. I think he's ready. If we take action, all we're doing is sending a message that we're not going to stand behind when we don't have to send that message right now. if there was something pending to hurt Roane County or its citizens, we still have the chance to put something up. But I hadn't been in that many countries. That's awesome. I hope to get to that many countries, but I've been Central America, a lot of Central America. He's right. If those people get in a bad way, I open my home for sure. If we think we can legislate, or if we think we can do something in government to help this, we're wrong. The church has got to stand up and do it. At the end of the day, that's what's failing, is our church and our communities. We got to come together as a people to help these people, these homeless people. You know, government's not going to do it. We got to do it as people. But I don't think I can support this today either. So that's all I've got.
Commissioner Moore.
I've been to a few countries, some of them over in Southeast Asia. It's been about 50 years. I think we have a tendency to get what we see on TV and immigration and caravan and all of that we see hyped up on TV. I think these people are coming in. I have ancestors that understood what immigration was about. They were Native American. And how did that work out, okay? Just saying, okay? A few other people came, and the next thing you know, we're in Oklahoma somewhere on a reservation, so that immigration worked out real good. But refugees still coming through the system are still able to come. That's not a problem about the government or whatever. I don't have a problem. I like my president. I'll be honest with you. And I ain't ashamed to stand up and tell him. Not many people will, but I will. You know, I'm old enough, I can do that. And I've got enough backbone to stand up here in front of you and tell you, and be glad of it. I support missionaries and people in other countries and all that. And many of you can give them an acre of your property when they come in here. It'd be a little different giving somebody else that steps away, okay? We always tend to do that. We spend somebody else's money pretty easy. We don't do too well when it comes to our own. It's just that. I have no problem voting with it. I think at some point now, whether it's worth the paper it's written on, it doesn't matter. If you don't tell somebody, we let a lady in Texas in the late 60s and early 70s spill our jail up over here. That was Miss Madeline Mary O'Hara. Take the Bible and prayer out of school. Now we're spending $25 million to build a jail to put them in 40-something years later. Nobody said nothing. Or it'll offend somebody. What happened? We offended now when you charge them over here, you know, keep spending, and 5 more years you're going to build another jail, $40 million more until you change that culture. So it don't matter, and I'm a Christian, and I don't mind telling that either. And I know better than to get the Bible and politics in the same room. I've learned that. If nothing else. My mother, bless her heart, she was 100 years old until October the 27th. And I know what she would have had me to vote. And now, stand for something. And I won't be sitting here 20 years from now. Hopefully I'll be here 30 years from now. I'll make her age. And saying, I wish I'd have said a little something, rather than just sit back here and say, well, you know, we're not mistreating those people. It's just saying, hey, Governor, if you decide to do this, we're just saying we'll be counted. And I don't care whether you vote for it or not. I intend to say, yes, when I punch my vote. That's the only thing I've got working tonight is the vote machine here. I can't get the computer. So I don't feel in my heart. I can lay down and go to sleep tonight. My conscience will not bother me because my vote kept somebody from coming here. Because obviously it won't. If the government wants to do anything, face it, folks, they're going to do it regardless. And they're doing a lot of it right now. Not doing much in certain places. They're doing a lot of things that I don't agree with. But that's my opinion. I'm an American citizen. I I fought for my country, and I have the right, and I pay my taxes, and I have the right as an individual to stand up and say, I don't think that's the right thing to do, or hey, don't put them on my 5 acres of ground. That don't make me less of a Christian, okay? Not in my Bible, and it's the King James if you want to look at it, you know. Needs a better Bible, but it ain't one yet, so. Anyway, I'm gonna vote for it, even though I understand it probably don't mean nothing in the long haul, and I'm just delaying it, but nobody's scored yet on the ball game, so it doesn't make any difference. We'll be all right.
Clemson's up 7-0.
How long is that?
LSU scored.
Commissioner Wilson.
I would just like to make a motion, echoing some of the commissioners that have spoke, to withdraw resolution 01-2006.
Can we do that? We already got a motion and a second on the floor.
You can do a motion to
Table.
The only thing you just call for question, you can call for question.
We call for question, we can vote on it, you can make a motion to table.
Question. Get it over with.
That trumps everything, call for question.
You gotta vote on whether to call for the question.
Exactly, because it's,
You only call for questions, just a question vote.
but Mr.
Yes,
Mr. Wilson had the floor, hold on, Mr. Bell. Mr. Wilson had the floor prior to him, Mr. Hendrickson calling for the question. But he calls for question, but would we go back to Mr. Wilson, since he had a motion to, I guess, he made a motion with.
You need to dispose of Mr. Wilson's motion because he has the floor. So did you have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Berry to withdraw Resolution 12006. We've got a motion to withdraw by Commissioner Wilson, second to Berry, with Mr. Berry. Commissioner Wilson.
I really have nothing further to add. There's nothing else I can add to this. I think we all know where we're at and how it stands. That's it.
Commissioner Berry.
Yeah, I would just echo again, I think we've heard that in order for us to actually receive any of these refugees, we would have to vote at some point to receive them. Again, I think what we've heard is again, why subject ourselves to a decision that doesn't mean anything. Thank you.
Commissioner Bell.
So we got two motions on the floor.
No, we have one motion currently on the floor. That's a motion to withdraw by Commissioner Wilson and a second by Commissioner Berry. That trumped the motion for a second, first and a second. So we'll be voting on a motion to withdraw at the moment.
What about the original motion?
So if a man put a motion to put it back on, that would trump the motion, so we can just keep making motions. Is that how it works? I don't understand. We've never done it this way, but you can amend it, table it. I'm asking you.
Well, the motion to postpone it indefinitely cannot be interrupted. So that's why you have to deal with his motion to postpone it indefinitely before you take up any other motion.
So the indefinitely part makes it supersede the original.
Because Robert's Rules of Order says that basically you've made a motion to kill the main motion. That cannot be interrupted, so you got to deal with that before you deal with anything else.
With Robert's Rules of Order, what this body adopted.
Yeah.
Thank you for the question. Call for the question by Mr. Berry on the motion to withdraw. We'll try to do it by voice vote. All in favor to call for question on the motion, debate on the motion to withdraw, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Okay, question's been called, so now we're on the motion to withdraw Resolution 12006 by Commissioner Wilson and second by Commissioner Berry. Now we're going to vote on this, and this is the motion to withdraw. This is not the motion voting on whether we support the resolution or not. This is to withdraw the resolution.
And debate.
Ready to record the vote?
So yes is to withdraw.
Yes to withdraw, no's to, we're back on the resolution. Mr. Hooks. Resolution 12006 by a vote of 8-6 has been withdrawn. Moving forward, Resolution 12007, a resolution authorizing Roane County to submit a 2020 Community Development Block Grant application. Give her a second to get caught up for.
We send that to the governor.
We've got a motion on Resolution 12007, Community Development Block Grant Application. Motion by Commissioner Meadows. Second by Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner Meadows.
From what I understand, this is a block grant that would be through Roane County EMS, and if Mr. Suter would like to add to this, that's actually what it will accomplish. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Mr. Suter, would you like to add anything to this?
The CDBG grant would purchase ambulances for the ambulance department.
So just to add a little bit to that, when we put our capital budgets together every year, we're trying to keep our ambulances on the rotation schedule. And as we put our capital budgets together, then we send them to Jamie Kennard, who's back there in the back also, to see if we can receive any grants for any of these items we have in our capital budget. So from that standpoint, this is, we buy ambulances every year, and if we can get a grant to pay for them, we want to try to get those grants.
Commissioner Meadows.
One thing I would like to go ahead and note that these have not gone through the OES committee. However, the grant needs to be filed next month, and for that reason, I'd like to ask that the 12-day rule be.
Unless there's an objection, we don't have to go there.
Okay, I just want to bring it out.
Is that all, Mr. Meadows?
That's all.
Commissioner Hooks.
I'm good.
Commissioner Berry.
I think this is pretty much an annual, that most of our community development grants have gone to buy ambulances. That's how we've turned our fleet over. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions or comments on 12007, 2020 Community Development Block Grant Application? Seeing none, we'll record the vote. Resolution 12007 is adopted. Resolution 12008, a resolution authorizing Roane County to submit a 2019 Assistance to Firefighter Grant application. Motion by Commissioner Hooks, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Hooks.
I'll yield to our county executive.
It's kind of the same provision here. We have capital plans. We look at them every year. This body reviews them. We review them through the budget process. And if we can see a grant out there that will help any of our departments, we apply for it. But as always, the commission has to approve us making these applications, because generally there is match money required, and this is, you see, it's $12,000 for a $262,000 project.
Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner White.
I have nothing to add.
Any other questions or comments on Resolution 12008? Mr. Berry.
Is this for all of our fire departments, Mr. Woody?
Well, this is for all of our, this helps our fire service. I don't know if they get distributed to all of our fire departments in some cases. Is this one is coming through, is this one that, the money doesn't go to our volunteer fire departments in this one, does it? This is the one we stay local in this one. For our countywide fire department.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll record the vote. Resolution 12008 is adopted. Seeing nothing else on the agenda, I got a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Wilson, second by Commissioner Gann. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Meeting adjourned.
Now call the meeting to order. Joe, would you call the roll, please?
Robert Miller.
Here.
Jeff Bass.
Here.
Kenny Brown.
Here.
Stacy Siltner.
Here.
Terry Holland.
Here.
Don Shillings. We got 5 out of 6. We got a quorum.
Stand for the pledge. Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you lead us in prayer, Joe?
Our most gracious and loving Heavenly Father, we approach thy throne of grace with great humility and reverence and respect and awe about what you have done and what you are doing and what you shall do in the future, what you've promised us, and the commitments you've asked of us as your children. We pray that we can honor those commitments. We pray that we can invite the Holy Spirit into our hearts and souls and minds, where we can deliberate in such a way as to take care of the needs of our citizens and our community and bring honor and glory to you.
Yeah.
We pray for our government officials and our citizens at all levels, that you would give them the peace and the justice and mercy where they can debate, but not have this terrible hatred one to the other, as we know that hatred is a cancer that eats in our hearts and can destroy our thoughts and minds and souls, and even our nation. We pray for our servicemen and women at home and abroad, that you would give them peace and comfort and strengthen them and their families. We ask all that in my son's name. Amen.
Amen. We need to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Got a motion, need a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Call the roll, please.
Robert Miller.
Yes.
Jeff Bass.
Yes.
Kenny Brown.
Yes.
Stiltner.
Yes.
Terry Holland.
Yes.
Passed.
Delegations from citizens. Any citizens have anything to bring forward? Yes, come forward, please. I know you. State your name and address, please.
Bronson Woods, 110 Windrock Road.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Woods.
Anytime I come to a meeting or somewhere and there's a pledge of allegiance and then there's prayer, I know I'm with my people, and that was really good to hear.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm at 110 Windrock Road, right there on the curve. I think most people know where the Ingrams used to live there. Well, that's where I live now. On the right side of my driveway, I have about 2 acres that's flat right there, road frontage. Behind that 2 acres, there's a row of trees and there's another little bit of property. Well, there's portable buildings that you see them on the side of the road out here, that you can buy these portable buildings and put them up. Well, I was thinking about putting 3 of those portable buildings out there, or building them myself, making them into like little cabins, and then eventually renting those cabins out. And as I was going through the ordinances and whatnot, I looked at a lot of stuff, but I didn't see much in there in the amendments or anything about zoning. And so I have no idea about zoning. I just want to, go by things the right way. And so I figured I'd come here and maybe get some questions answered.
The first thing you'd have to do is to make plats of it. Your dimensions, whatever you want to do, you'd have to bring it before the planning commission. Then they might have to do a board of zoning appeals.
Which is actually Monday. Planning
But
commission.
it canceled because we didn't have any business.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just got the message today.
Okay.
But that's what, Mr. Bronson, that's what you need to do is have your plan. It would have to be rezoned, because that right now is zoned for R1 or C1. It's for low density housing, whatever. And it would have to be rezoned, and then it would have to be approved, the type buildings you were going to put up. Right now, we still got the thing on the sewer where we can't plug anybody else into the sewer until they raise that for a promise. And that's in the near future, we hope, that they'll raise that, where we put the sewer back, make sewer tax again. But if you'll come down and we'll go over everything with you and list it, see what you need, and
Yeah, so I need to get, you say, get plots made or just a blueprint, is that what it is?
Well, you can make one like that, but when it comes down to the time you're gonna do it, I would have to survey, blocked off, subdivide it in the individual, unless because you can't call it a park. You gotta have so many units, like a trailer
Yeah.
park. It has to have minimum 12 units to start out with.
Yeah, don't wanna do that.
And so we might have to get with some expertise with our planners, that state furniture, well, we pay for them, but we have a planner that goes into all that stuff in depth and get him with you.
Okay.
And make sure we don't have anything, start out right, that's the important thing.
Yeah, we just had a situation with Coker Real Estate, Scott Coker, Eric Coker, Mr. Coker. We did it very backwards. But anyways, we'd like to get it right the first time on the front end.
Yeah.
Come to the planning commission. Dan Hawk is the gentleman who is the planner.
I talked to him, he's the one that told me.
Yes, and so, and usually, well, Mayor informed me that the planning commission has been canceled for this coming Monday, but the next one that comes up, get with Mr. Hawk and,
Okay.
It's
hey,
always a third Monday.
yes,
Okay.
and get it on the agenda, and we'll review everything, tell you every step you need to take, and
Do I need to bring anything, is there any work that I need to do before that meeting?
I would have it proposed,
yes.
even if it's a pencil drawing, I'd have it proposed what you proposed to do.
Okay.
You should get your land
Somebody,
surveyed or surveyed, or like a blueprint or.
Deed.
I forgot the language.
Google map,
Yes.
like a Google map.
Mayor, what
Joe knows the name.
what you would need to do, and I'm not sure the exact sequence, because it can cost you several $1,000s for a survey. What the planning commission is looking for, your property is zoned residential, probably single family, single dwelling residential.
single family development.
And what you would have to do is have it zoned for multifamily residential or maybe a commercial operate. You know, if you were going to build rental houses like a year at a time or something like that, that's one thing. If you're going to have short-term rentals for the Windrock Park up there, then that may be more of a commercial.
Okay.
But you would employ your surveyor to survey your property. Your surveyor would know the exact lot size that your project would have to have in order to comply with zoning. Hopefully your surveyor would. If he didn't, that'd be part of his responsibility. Then he would draw a plat that would show a proposed building. Say you want 3 structures and you've got 4 acres. Well, you might have a 1/4 acre for each house, and it would show a footprint of that house, proposed house, on each of your 1/3 acre lots, and it probably would show in a general way your remaining acreage, so they could get the planning commission and the building inspector get a perception about how this proposal would fit into the existing maps. And see, on top of that, even if you had that done today, there's a moratorium put on our sewer system by the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, TDEC, that says we can't have any more sewer taps. And so you may be 6 months or a year waiting on a sewer tap. And so if you spend $2,000 or $3,000 over the next 30 days, you can't get a sewer tap, you spent $2,000 or $3,000 for a map, that may or may not be appropriate a year or 2 years from now when we get the sewer taps in. You also need to know that there's parking requirements, and you know, you can have 1 bedroom or 2 bedrooms or ever how many people you're going to have facilities available, and see, all that would be factored in to your survey and your building permits that you would issue. And then once you have completed this, and the Planning Commission or the Board of Zoning Appeals or both have approved that, building inspector gives you a building permit, then you start turning dirt.
Okay.
And see, that could take 6 months and several $1,000s of survey cost. And the downside is that if you didn't get approved, you spent several $1,000s and a bunch of time.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to, as long as it's possible, I'm going to, move forward with it. I did go to, I got a letter from the city that said that I was denied a sewer tap, but I'm able to put a septic tank in.
You are.
So I think I'll be okay there. But as far as the survey,
city authorized you, the health department authorized you to put in a septic tank and drain field.
You gotta go to the health department for that.
Yeah, yeah. So I've
Well,
had-
see, for a septic tank and drain field, depending on how many bedrooms you have, it has to perk. And I assume that property would perk, but I'm kind of surprised because if there's a sewer line within a reasonable distance that's got the appropriate grade, they won't give you permission.
Right now they will, as long as you're under moratorium.
Yeah,
As long as you're what?
As long as you're under moratorium that you cannot hook this sewer, but you have to have the health department approve that plot for that. And doing that, they'll perk it. They'll come up and have a guy dig a hole 18 inches deep, and they'll time it, have it, fill it with water, see how long it takes.
Yeah.
You're also in a little wetland there, a little flood zone, so.
Yeah, Don Lachey was the, I don't know if you guys know or not, but he came out and perked it last week. And so there is a spot that'll work there.
But you probably have to have a septic tank and drain field for each
See, I don't
building.
know that yet.
Yeah.
Because see, if you have 3 one-bedroom units, you have to have a certain size septic tank and a certain distance fill line that has to perk and has to fit into your subdivision plan. And see, I don't know whether you need 3, in my example, 3 1/3 acre lots or 1 large lot that's got 3 structures on it.
Yeah,
You might possibly tie it together in one drain field and septic tank. That'd certainly be least expensive, but the health department may control that.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'm not there yet. I think the most important thing was to, to get here with you guys and get some insight, just to see, which direction I need to go. And it sounds like get a plot together and come to the meeting is the first.
There'll be setback distance between them, et cetera.
Yes.
The one out here on the highway on the right, that was put in without proper approval. Where he's got all the little outbuildings,
On the right, on the right, on the
right with the Mexican restaurant on this side.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All the little outbuildings they use as free yard sales.
Yeah.
He's not supposed to have but one, for instance.
Oh,
With,
okay.
with qualifications for the planning commission, he can have up to 3, but he can't have just one on the initial thing.
Okay.
But those are not examples, they can't be that close, for instance.
Yeah, right, okay.
Of course, now, they don't have to be as far apart as Windrocks either, because that's what they are, they're a park that's spread out,
Yeah.
But there is setback requirements on all of it, from building to building, and it's not that bad, you got plenty of room.
You're thinking more like a nightly thing, aren't you?
Yes, weekend, that's it. Just on the weekends.
Classify something else too.
Well, that's still gonna throw us into another overnight thing we're running,
Yeah.
we don't have any procedures.
Yeah, we're working on it in the planning commission.
I'm gonna work with you today, so I'll, like I said, I'll, do the things that I need to do to, get a Google map, and just put some stuff together, and then come to the meeting, and then I'll go to a survey maybe or something.
Yeah.
Just get some information. Get ahold of Dan Hawk,
Yeah.
and he'll tell me when that meeting is.
I got his numbers and stuff, if you need them, just third Monday of the month, so it'll be the third Monday next month.
All right, sounds good. That's what I needed, folks.
Thank you, Bronson.
Thank you so much.
See you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other citizens or anyone in the audience who wants to speak? Okay, we don't have that many in the audience, do we?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
We got the flyer, the Maybe Carmichael School Organization will have a Soul Food Sunday on Sunday, February 9th, 2020, from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the DAV building on Kingston Avenue. They've got a menu. Of course, last year it was real good. The plates are $20 per adult, and as I can recall, is all you could eat. $10 for the child ages 4 through 11, and children 3 and under eat free. And I'm sure if Julia Daniels were here, she would encourage everybody to come. I came last year and the year before. Some of you have been there. And I'm sure you'd echo the thought that if they're not serving it, you don't need to eat it, because they had a huge menu for
Well
your
worth the
dinner.
money.
And they had a huge menu for dessert. They had breads and they had drinks. And it's worth, and you better come early because there'll be a big crowd.
And it's for a good cause, it's a fundraiser, and it's, every penny they get goes back into the Carmichael group, maybe Carmichael School Group and organization, and it's a good meal. And you can order it and pick it up, or you can eat in place. Did she put a phone number on that, Joe? I'm looking, I don't see one.
I don't either.
How we gonna pick it up? I guess I can give her phone number out next time. We'll have another meeting before that date. Okay, is that all you have on the reading?
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we,
Copy of this will be on the board out here in front or on the, by the board department.
and maybe Dudley
With
can
the
put it
video.
on his TV too.
Yeah, did you get a copy? There's one up there, okay.
Yeah, we get it. Thank you, Joe.
Is that it, that covered from the audience? Thank you for that update for them, Joe. Okay, I'm gonna update a few things. The restroom and concession stand building at the park is going well. Our biggest holdup right now is the brick masons, and trying to get a brick mason right now is almost near impossible. I tried all afternoon, and Thomas had thought we had it set up before he went on the cruise. Evidently, that didn't work out, and the electrical is ready for inspection. We got to put the ceiling in the overhang on the porch, whatever you want to call that, and the brick, and we'll be well on our way in backfill, and that thing should be open in a while if we get brick. That won't be long at all. The other thing was we want to continue to ask for grace and mercy on our leaf pickup, et cetera. With the weather being like it is, we might be some people out there that still don't have leaf pickup because the vacuum won't work with wet leaves very good. And if you'll keep us, if you feel that you missed it on cause of weather or vacation times and the rain, et cetera, just call and we'll try to pick it up for you. That's all I have at the present time. City manager's report is similar to what I just gave. It has nothing to do with the water. This is not a water board meeting, but the people that's lining our sewer is out of town now, so we shouldn't have as much mess in the roads and the yards as we've been having with those trucks and things. So we're just working on our lift stations now. Then we'll be through the sewer for a while, I hope. And I think that's probably what he would have touched on. And if anybody knows of a brick mason, or if anybody sees this on TV Saturday morning and you're interested in laying some bricks, contact us. I don't know how many thousand bricks there are, 4,000 or 5,000, I guess. But it's not a large building, but we would consider hiring it, especially if we can get the building marked where we can continue working. Right now, we can't do some of the work because we don't have the brick marked for the ceiling that goes on the outside. Okay, Mr. Miller.
Yes, sir. I spoke to someone at the Roane County Zoning Office last week about this mess out here at Melhorns, and they informed me that that is our issue because it is a code violation for the city, not for the,
Who did you talk to?
not for them. The young lady down there at the desk.
Oh, it keeps the.
Yeah, and she said that someone called her and she didn't get the name, but she is pretty sure that that property is in the process of being sold. She gave me the number. It's a cross-phone number that if I wanted to call, I will give that number to you tomorrow. But they called inquiring on the property and stuff. But she said that anything to be issued as far as citations, it was through our codes guy to issue citations for all that stuff sitting down there. She said all that Glenn and them would issue citations for is if it was an unsafe structure.
Well, I think we've mentioned it once before. We called TDEC, or not TDEC, environmental, which TDEC is involved in also, but they looked at it once and said that no foul, no harm, no foul, whatever. To me, it's wetlands, and it's also offsetting floodplain.
Yeah, because they're encroaching on Poplar Creek back there, they're pinching it off back in there.
So, give me the number tomorrow.
I've got it at home, but yeah, I'll give it to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Chief, that red light at Food City.
Still acting up.
We need to get a hold of Progressive. That thing's going on flash at 10 o'clock at night. And it's coming off flash on the red at 4:30 in the morning.
There's many pictures out there to show you.
I think we're gonna have to get them to replace that computer again. They can set it and in 2 or 3 weeks it's back out of whack again. I'll call over tomorrow and get them.
It also changes when there's no side traffic, like there should be no reason it turns red, but nobody's, I would think, so that's off too.
Now, it turn red unless it's on, on constant flash for those at night.
Yeah, it's
Any other
cycles
time it's-
through by
Yeah,
itself.
we don't have sensors on the side, I thought it was stay green till somebody hit the side.
I don't, the sensors don't work real good.
No,
out
it's, I think, is it not on timers now?
there. It's on timers right now.
Yeah. They'll stay red on the side.
It's something like
for
at
so
4
long,
a.m.,
it'll change
it
the
changes
value.
red, and these
So
guys
it's
will work the
50-50,
plant.
it's just-
Yeah,
They're getting disturbed over it.
but yeah, it's,
I'll call them back tomorrow and get them back out on it again.
okay, but yeah, it's changing like at 9:30, at 10 o'clock at night, it's on flash. And
Sound like it's working, it's just the time's off or something.
Well, I think what it is, they come out and they'll set the times on it, and then a few weeks later, it's back off again, so they, I think when they put that computer in, they may have put a used one in it, so they may have to come back out.
And the brain, it's just lost its memory in the brain.
Yeah, whatever it was, that power surge, whatever hit, it may have burnt something else up in it too, so I'll get them back on it.
Okay. That's all I got, sir.
Okay, Mr. Bass?
I have nothing at this time.
Okay, Mr. Brown?
The, update on the bridge, heard anything?
On the north?
Yeah.
No, Mr. Brown in Kingston was on vacation on a cruise or whatever. He's got a work order, I think, to have it rewelded.
Tell me something else, I just curious, you know, a gentleman a while back come into us with the Hamilton prisoners, wanting, more money. And I'm just curious, what does he do when we have bad weather like we've had in the last several months? Does he not work at all?
He does work on, sometimes he comes in and works on equipment.
He don't have no 40-hour week.
No, he works 5 days a week except the holidays.
Of course, he work 5 days a week.
Well, he's got the inmates 5 days a week.
Well, I don't think I've seen them 5 days a week this time of year.
Yeah, they're here. They're here 5 days a week.
Yeah. I'm just curious to know, because when he comes back and wants another contract and want more money, that we say, well, you don't work a full schedule. How we base it to say that you're gonna want more money? Are we gonna pay you more money
Well,
and you don't work a 40-hour week?
You hadn't seen them, even during the rain, they've been trying to get leaves and stuff picked up. So I'm not sure. I see them every morning, bring them in, I see them take them out in the evenings. I don't see them every hour during the day.
Yeah, well, but I'm just saying, is that some kind of schedule that we could show us to where he's, getting them, bringing them out here and stuff? I mean.
Well, they got us, prison's got the schedule, they'll show us sign out, sign in on them.
Yeah, I understand
We can too. But as I'm telling you now, he took one day off for the holidays because they were off for the holidays.
Right, I understand this time of year though, that, if we get bad weather, I don't think they're gonna be out here working, are they?
They work in the shop, they work anywhere they can. Just like the people on lawn crew that's working on this building. In the rain, they couldn't work outside until they got dried in.
Yeah, I understand that part of it.
So they went to DAV and worked, for instance. Any inside work we had, they would stay in Oliver Springs, because once they go back, we lose them.
Yeah.
And if we start turning these guys back in, we lose them. So they're here.
Well,
They're here.
that's what I'd like to see, something if we could show us a schedule.
Okay.
I mean, because I'd like to see him get more money, but I'd like to see also where he shows me that he's working. I mean, I work a 40-hour week in my life, and for he's
here, and they're usually doing something. They're in the shop or working on the lawnmowers or cleaning them up or sharpening blades or doing shelving.
Well, that's something I'd like you put together,
Sure.
the city manager put
We can do
together.
it, we can do that.
And show us a little more,
I can do
duties.
that.
And I know he works, and I know he does good, but, it would help us when he want more money, and I'm sure when he comes back to his next contract, that he will want more.
We'll get it.
Okay, all right.
Anything else?
That's all I got.
Okay. Mr. Stiltner?
Yeah, Mr. Best, the pothole got fixed, did
Yes.
it not? I thought it did.
Yes, I wasn't gonna say nothing about it, yes,
Yes.
they paved it up, it's really nice, they put the asphalt in it.
It really is.
And it saves, I've
Yes.
heard no more complaints.
Yeah, well, I tested it out last night, and I thought, I didn't fall 2 feet in the hole. So, that was very
Can I
nice.
go get my truck fixed? No.
So,
Somebody built it, the city.
Mayor, I would like to just take a minute and recognize 3 local high school football players who made the all-state team. So if I'd like to just read a little clip from the Roane County News. The accolades keep coming for Roane County football.
Your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help